15,000 fans ready for the action in game number 6. The referee today is number 1, Art Skov, the linesman number 9, John D'Amico, and number 26, Ron Finn. Starting for the New York Islanders, to our right in white will be Jules Drouin. Number 17 at center as Al Arbour looks on from behind that Islander bench. J.P. Parise, number 12, and Eddie Westfall, number 18. For the visiting Flyers, Bobby Clark, their captain, number 16, with Reg Leach, number 27 on the right wing, and Bill Barber, number 7 on the left side. New York controls the faceoff. Parise didn't see the pass from Lewis, and he was checked by Reg Leach. As we are underway, Bert Marshall's pass intended for Westfall, broken up by Bobby Clark, who's trapped inside the Islander zone, and offside is called. Referee Art Skov pinned against the boards in front of that Islander bench, and that hurt him a little bit.
Hart just got squeezed in there between Bobby Clark. One of those accidental things. Hart bent over a little bit in a little bit of pain, but I'm quite sure he'll shake that off, and it's already starting out to be a long afternoon for the referee, Tim.
The officials play a big role, and they play the 60 minutes in all of the games, including the Stanley Cup play, and they'll probably earn their money here today. Dave Lewis brings it out. Clark in pursuit. Backhand flip. First shot on the net, handled easily by Bernie Perron. Centering try is intercepted by Jimmy Watson, number 20. Watson and Ed Van Impe, the defense pairing for Philadelphia. Dave Lewis and Bert Marshall for New York. Pass for Bobby Clark. Off the boards, ahead to Barber. Barber to Reg Leach. Leach on the off wing, back for Barber, and can't get the shot away. Off the boards, he centers it to the blue line. Van Impe, cross ice to Watson. A low drive, well wide of the net. Bobby Clark for the rebound. Centering in front, behind Reggie Leach, and past Jim Watson to center ice. Opening seconds of play in this Stanley Cup semifinal game number 6. Flyers changing on the move. Dave Lewis to Parise. Back for Bert Marshall. Veteran defenseman number 6. The pass for Parise, for Drouin, pardon me, was missed and taken by Joe Watson by the Flyer goal. His pass to Dornhofer too far. A long drive by Jerry Hart from near center ice is caught by Bernie Perron. Philadelphia shooting it out. Dennis Potvin tried a surprise pass to Howard, but Dornhofer anticipated and picked it off. He flips it in. Jerry Hart of the Islanders has it there over skating. Lonsbury now checking him. Hart just physicals his way out of there. Gives it to Howard, who hands it right to Watson. Score! Joe Watson shot deflected in by Ross Lonsbury, who was alone in front. And an Islander mistake gives Philadelphia a 1-0 lead.
Carelessness on the part of the Islanders there, as Lonsbury was left all alone in front of that net. Here's the puck going to Watson. He gets a low shot away. You'll see Lonsbury right in the front of the net, changing the direction of that puck into the short side.
So Philadelphia jumps into a 1-0 lead. Here's where it began, as Jerry Hart pressured by Lonsbury. You'll see Lonsbury come in front.
Right in front, and that's his second goal of the playoffs. Very quickly deflecting that puck.
The 2 games in this series that the Islanders have won to get back into it, they scored the first goal of the game. In the other 3, Philadelphia scored the first goal. If that pattern continues, the Flyers will move into the Stanley Cup final against the Buffalo Sabres with a victory here today. But who can predict what will happen in this game, especially after Wednesday night's encounter, one of the most bizarre hockey games in Stanley Cup history. A penalty coming up, the first of the game, interference against the Philadelphia Flyers. 17:47 remaining in the first period of the score. Philadelphia 1, the New York Islanders nothing.
The individual investor, alone. You don't need an investment firm that's an order taker. You need help, lots of help. Knowledgeable account executives who care about your goals. The benefit of a $6 million a year research program. The innovation to create new kinds of investments and the comfort of solid financial strength. You know our name. Everybody knows.
Gary Dornhofer for interference at 2:13 of this first period. Gives the Islanders a quick chance to tie it up as they have the extra man 6 against 5. But Philadelphia controls the faceoff. Clark getting it to Dupont, a hand to the Potvin. His pass to Westfall, and he misplayed it. It deflected right to Bernie Perron, who had no trouble grabbing onto the loose puck. Great chance there, Chet.
Yeah, Dupont cutting out in close to that net there, lost the puck, went out to Potvin. He got it right to the right side of that net. The Islander player, Westfall, went off the end of his stick, and wisely, Perron just held on to it to get the face-off.
Clark won that face-off, and the Flyers controlling, playing a man short with 1:40 remaining in the penalty to Dornhofer. DuPont clears it down to the Islander line. Jules Drouin, Dennis Potvin, Eddie Westfall, Billy Harris, and J.P. Parisi. The power play, a deflection off the boards at a bad angle. Westfall couldn't get to it, but New York keeps it in. Dennis Potvin, deflection, and Perron got a piece of that as it went near the side of the goal, just outside the post. Joe Watson clearing it down the ice with 1:16 remaining in the penalty to Dornhofer. Glenn Resch waiting for someone to come and get the puck. Both these teams look a little tight. Bill Clement nearly took it away there from Potvin. Potvin out of Parisi. Parisi brings it up. High slap shot rising off the glass wide. Rebound to Drouin. He flips it to the far corner. Dennis Potvin moving down the boards. Drops it to the blue line, but Westfall can't get there in time. It's taken by Clement. Clement for the Flyers with Terry Crisp. Clement around Westfall. Can't get the shot away. There'll be a penalty to Eddie Westfall for tripping Bill Clement. And Clement made sure that he went down, I'd say, on that play, Ted. Although, no doubt that
it was a good play on the part of Clement. It was the effort that he puts in here. You'll see him make the burst to go around the outside. As the puck goes through, he had beaten Eddie here, and Eddie's stick got under his skate. Quite accidental, but it was a good call by the referee.
Tripping at 3:29, and that brings the teams to 5 aside with 44 seconds remaining in the penalty to Philadelphia's Gary Dornhofer. And so the Flyers will have the man advantage when that penalty expires. And they lead this game 1-0. If you just joined us, Ross Lunsbury from Joe Watson at 1:42, giving Philadelphia the early lead. And as we pointed out, in each game so far, the team which has won the game has scored the first goal. Flyers taking a 3-0 lead, as Pittsburgh did against these Islanders. And then the Islanders winning the next two. The most unusual wild hockey game ending in overtime here Wednesday night, and then an impressive 5-1 victory at the Spectrum in Philadelphia Thursday night. Flyers in their own zone. Van Impe taken off the puck, and a tough hit thrown against Ralph Stewart by Ross Lunsbury. New York keeps it in. Bert Marshall. Van Impe to the corner, gives it to Jimmy Watson. He's got room, and he just calmly flips it down the boards. 13 seconds left in the penalty to Dornhofer. 1:27 in the penalty to New York's Ed Westfall. Lewis, Marshall, Ralph Stewart, and Billy Harris for New York. Terry Crisp, Lonsberry, Larry Goodenough, and Andre DuPont for Philadelphia. That's DuPont with the puck. Larry Goodenough, a rookie defenseman, number 5, making his first start in the series today. He has the puck. To Dornhofer, just out of the penalty box, off Lewis, a drive by Goodenough, glove save Resch, and Lewis takes it away from Bobby Clark. The pass to Bill McMillan, check there, good check by Dornhofer. Barber has it, in front for Bobby Clark, the pass behind him. Goodenough to Barber, backhand shot, kick save off the skate by Glenn Resch, and it's cleared down the ice by Lorne Henning. 43 seconds remaining in the penalty to Westfall. That was Resch's best save of the game. Perron is yet to be severely tested. Here's Barber. The shot is wide. Goodenough. His shot is wide. Barber in the far corner being checked by McMillan. Philadelphia 6 men against 5. 25 seconds left in the penalty. Resch out of the goal to shoot it away from Larry Goodenough, who's in there deep on this power play for the Flyers. McMillan can't get it out. DuPont a drive, blocked by Henning. Resch with a puck. Flips it to the corner for Jerry Hart. Hart can't get it out. Goodenough trying to keep it in. Henning checks him. Barber picks it up. Barber, number 7. Clark trying to set up in front. Jerry Hart checking him. The pass to Goodenough. In the middle, a drive. Blocked in front by Marshall. The shot by Reggie Leach. Westfall back on. He has the puck. Westfall a shot. That's high. Off the glass. Perron took a piece of it. It was going over the net. They're back at full strength. Here's Bill Barber. At the blue line, a drive. Glove saved by Glenn Resch. Potvin with the team changing on the move. Gives it to Parisi. Hart was dumped. No call there. The fans angry at referee Art Skoll. Drouin trying to get through Van Impe. Can't do it. Good check on him. Offside was called at the Philadelphia blue line. 14:06 to go, first period. The score, Philadelphia 1, New York 0.
Are your tires growing old too fast? Have you ever wondered why? Well, your tires are mounted on moving steering and suspension parts, and like all moving parts, they wear. This usually causes misalignment that shortens tire life and can reduce steering control. To protect tire life, get a regular alignment and parts check. And replace worn parts with Moog problem-solving parts. That way you can be sure you never waste a good tire on a worn front end.
Two ex-teammates in junior hockey in Flin Flon there, Clark and Hart pushing each other. Friendship ceases once hockey starts, Ted.
Jerry Hart said he hadn't spoken a word to his friend Bobby Clark during these playoffs. He said, I just think it's better we stay away from each other. Got all summer to get friendly again. Ralph Stewart, right side to Billy Harris. The penalties have expired. The teams are at full strength. Jerry Hart over the line. His drive is blocked by Ed Van Impe. Don Selesky, number 11, is on with Bill Clement, number 10, and Dave Schultz, number 8. Schultz with a puck, but offside. He pulled himself offside. Oftentimes fans will say, how's that possible? That was a perfect example of it. Dave Schultz. And we see Schultz with that beard along with his line mate Don Selesky and their normal centerman, Oris Kindrachuk. They all decided to grow beards. Bill Clement is out there between those two wingers at the moment. Ralph Stewart, Clark Gillies, and Billy Harris. That game on Thursday night, Ted, concluded in the final minute with quite a scrap between Gillies and Dave Schultz, and Dave acknowledged to us this morning at breakfast that he was beaten by Clark Gillies quite severely.
And that should also upset the Philadelphia fans when they lose the game, plus they lose the fight.
DuPont came to Schultz's help, apparently, in that scrap. But Dave says, well, you can't win them all. He's got a good attitude about his boxing record. The penalty coming up to Philadelphia as Billy Harris was dumped. Hooking will be the call against Don Selesky. 13:22 remaining in the first period with the Flyers leading it 1-0. And now a bench or a misconduct perhaps also levied.
We know. You feel trapped. You want to get out where freedom begins. Simple. Take off on a legend, a Harley-Davidson Freedom Machine. This one's a classic, the 1200cc Electroglide. Harley-Davidson has met quality and performance for more than 70 years. That's why AMF puts its name on the line, too. And that name adds even more value to sports products like Harley-Davidson motorcycles. AMF brings out the best in you.
Here's the infraction on the hooking on Selesky, and then plus there's the bench minor, the fact that he didn't go to the bench, directly to the bench or to the penalty box after the foul.
That's a new rule to avoid some of the time wasting that goes on when a player argues with the referee about a given call. And Selesky did not go right to the penalty box. Instead, you saw him going over trying to entice Billy Harris into a scrap so that he could take him to the penalty box with him. But Harris didn't buy it, and Selesky picked up another bench minor penalty to make it a 4-minute penalty.
From the ice level there, that was Billy Harris as he, after he was hooked, slid into the end of the rink. And this will give the Islanders a decided advantage, a two-man advantage for the full 2 minutes to try to tie this game up and possibly go ahead. The Islanders have 5 power play goals in the series of 20 advantages. The Phillies only have 2 power play goals on 20 advantages.
The faceoff will be in the Flyers zone to the right of Bernie Perron. It'll be Bobby Clark, Ed Van Impe, and Jim Watson, the two-man advantage here for the New York Islanders, who trail 1-0. Westfall, Parise, Harris, Potvin, Drouin, the power play. Here's Parise. Can't quite get it back far enough as hustling Bobby Clark caught up with the puck. Clark trying to center it off the skate of Drouin. It goes a breakaway. Van Impe had broken his stick. 2-on-1. Parise, the drive, and it... Perron got a piece of it, and then it looked like it might have glanced off the outside of the post. It comes all the way back to the Islander blue line. Dennis Potvin to Drouin. Van Impe had broken his stick and had to go to the bench. They had a near 2-0 breakaway. The Islanders inside the line again. Potvin trying to get it to Drouin. DuPont broke it up with a good play. DuPont takes the puck away. He's checked by Parise. Bobby Clark trying to get out. Westfall keeps it in. Clark trying to golf swing at it. DuPont can't get it out. Billy Harris, number 15, along the boards. To Drouin. Drouin shoots. He hit the side of the net. And thought it was in. It was not. He hit the side of the net. Drouin in control again. 1:03 remaining in the double penalty. To the blue line. Harris. And a whistle on the play.
We got a double penalty being called here on DuPont and Westfall. They were hooking and putting that lumber on each other pretty good, but this penalty will definitely help Philadelphia because instead of being 2 men short, they will only be the 1 man short. Here, see the action right here. Number 6 and number 18. They're laying that lumber on pretty good. Then you'll see DuPont giving the left jab. Ned come back with that lumber, and Art Skov call the infraction on both. And this is definitely to the advantage of Philadelphia because, as I mentioned, now they're only 1 man short instead of 2. Joe Westfall arguing that the face-off should go outside the blue line, but seeing that 1 player from each side was involved and the puck was still in the Philadelphia end, the face-off will remain in that end.
All right, Ed. Face-off will be on the rim of the circle.
Looking at the shot that the Islanders thought was in, here's Drouin's shot that hit the side of the net, but about 8 inches back of the post. When they saw the mesh move, Tim, they thought it was in naturally, but it wasn't.
Back live, Billy Harris got the draw, but it's out over the blue line, forcing Potvin back to the Islanders zone. To Parise, and he lost control of the puck. Joe Watson has it for the Flyers. 1-0 hockey game. Philadelphia leads it. Drouin to Dennis Potvin. Rick McLeish is on with Jimmy Watson and Joe Watson. Drop pass blindly by Drouin. McLeish can skate, trying to get away from Potvin, and did not get much of a shot away as Dennis Potvin cut up with him. McLeish steals it away right off the net, skating back to his own zone. Great effort by Rick McLeish. Throwing it back in his own zone to Jimmy Watson. His pass deflected and offside as Drouin brought it in with Billy Harris caught inside the Flyers zone. Harris got a goal the other night in the Thursday night 5-1 win, and that was his first in the 7 playoff games. Bob Nystrom scored for the Islanders in that game, his first in 15 playoff games. And those have been 2 hard-luck right wingers on the Islander team during the playoff activity against Pittsburgh and Philadelphia.
Of course, Nystrom was the leading scorer with 27 on the Islanders club, and that did hurt them, although they have been winning. And it wasn't that he wasn't getting chances, Tim. That was his 46th shot on goal. He was just getting himself psyched out by good goaltending, I guess.
Well, Al Arbor stuck right with him, and he kept plugging away, and he finally got one there the other night. We haven't seen that line on the ice yet because of this penalty situation. Neither team has really had a chance to sort out the lines with all of the penalties here in the first few minutes. Dennis Potvin along the line offside. 11 seconds remaining in the penalties, the double penalty to Selesky. And we've got 1:10 remaining in the penalties to Westfall and Selesky.
Tim, that'll be a decided lift to Philadelphia. If they, get out the early part of that double penalty, they killed it. And if they can get away without any more damage being done or any damage being done, I think it'll give them a big lift.
Andre DuPont, the other Flyer player in the penalty box. Selesky getting ready to come back on. And he does. In the Flyer zone, Van Imp around the boards. He lost it to Bob Bourne. Back to the blue line. Marshall down the boards to Bourne. It got away from him. Howard is there. Gary Howard checked by Jimmy Watson. Bourne with the puck. To the blue line. Marshall. Marshall a shot. That's wide. Off the boards, Selesky. Bangs it down into the Islanders zone. With the teams 5 aside, that'll be an icing call against Philadelphia. And with 10:55 remaining in the first period, the score, Philadelphia 1 and New York 0.
Today, people are holding on to their cars longer. Well, this is Sunoco, and I'm going to help them. Because now people need things checked that maybe they never had checked before. PCV valves, ball joints, some of them complicated. I even hired Andy here, just out of mechanic school. He's up on all the latest things. Isn't that right, Andy?
Well, you gotta be. If we want to hold on to our customers, we gotta help them hold on to their cars.
Smart.
Rick McLeish ready for the face-off against Ralph Stewart. Rick McLeish scored 2 goals in the losing cause here Wednesday night, both of them of the spectacular variety, but they were overlooked by all of the other bizarre events in that game. The overtime win by the Islanders that got them back into the series. Joe Watson to Ed Van Impe. 20 seconds left in the penalty to Westfall. An offside pass will bring the face-off inside the red line of the Islanders zone. Stewart, Gillies, Potvin, and Fortier against McLeish, Barber, Van Impe, and Joe Watson. McLeish gets that face-off back to Joe Watson, senior member of the Watson brothers, gives it to Barber. This is Van Impe. McLeish slowly using up the remainder of that penalty time. Flyers doing a good job. Westfall's penalty has expired. 52 seconds remaining in the penalty to DuPont. Good penalty killing. Rick McLeish without anybody really pressuring him at all. Potvin for Gillies, couldn't hold the pass. He catches up with it. Now the rookie drops it back to Dave Fortier. 35 seconds left in the penalty to DuPont. Fortier, an ex-Flyer, the pass for Gillies over his stick. Van Impe flips it up. It goes over the glass and out of play. 9:51 to go in this first period. The score, Philadelphia 1 and New York nothing. Face off to the right of Bernie Perron. It'll be Bobby Clark against Jules Drouin. Islanders come up with it. Fortier a drive, blocked in front neatly by Joe Watson, and he drills it down the ice right on the goal. Resch having to make the stop. 20 seconds remaining in the penalty to Andre DuPont. Dennis Potvin ahead for Parise, ran into his own man Drouin with Bobby Clark right in the thick of things as usual. Fortier to Parise, who steers it into the Flyer zone, back for it. Joe Watson. Parise tying him up. Jimmy Watson to Bobby Clark behind him. Checked by Fortier, is in there deep. Now the Flyers come out. Lonsberry catching up with it. Westfall trying to catch up with him. A one-handed shot at the side of the net. Lonsberry stays on the puck. Westfall stays on him, and Potvin comes out with it. Dennis Potvin with Parise and Drouin. Good pass to Drouin. Fakes the shot. Trying to get around Jimmy Watson. Centers it. Parise slaps at it. Perron drives out to clear it to the side. And Lonsberry throws it to the safety of the area behind his own net. Jimmy Watson bringing it out. Philadelphia changing on the move. The penalty to DuPont has expired, and the teams are finally back at full strength. Dennis Potvin gives it to Dave Lewis. Lewis, rink wide, intended for Bourne. He steals it from Kelly. Bob Bourne on the backhand. The pass. Howard can't get the shot away. As Gary Dornhofer had him just enough of him covered, he couldn't get the shot away. Bourne electing to pass rather than shoot may have missed a better chance. Great turn of speed by Bob Bourne, who can really fly. Bob Kelly hustles in, beating Terry Crisp. To the blue line, Ted Harris' shot. That's wide. Resch got a stick on it. Penalty coming up against the Islanders as Marshall ties up Gary Dornhofer. And it'll be a penalty against New York. 8:10 remaining in the first period with the score, Philadelphia 1 and the New York Islanders nothing.
Pride, very cornerstone of a new automobile. Cordova, the new small Chrysler. Here is the warmth of thickly cushioned contour seats, available even in fine Corinthian leather. So very luxurious, yet surprisingly affordable. Cordova is engineered with great pride to be a Chrysler. Cordova, the new small Chrysler.
Real fine effort by Andre DuPont after Bob Bourne here. It was just his effort that rushed Bourne, and he passed this puck over to here, and then Gary Dornhofer just kept that puck from Gary Howard so he could shoot that puck into the open corner. Good defensive effort there.
Puck cleared out of the Islander zone by Lorne Henning. as Bob Nystrom gets the kneeing penalty at 11:50 of this first period. Philadelphia playing 6 men against 5. Barber to McLeish. McLeish met by Bert Marshall. He just dumps it down the board. Fresh having difficulty. Leach comes up with it. The Barber trying to tuck it in the short side. Marshall checked him. Puck still loose. Marshall lost it to McLeish. Rick McLeish looking for the open man. Gives it to Bobby Clark. Back to Goodenough. Goodenough. A shot kicked out by Glenn Retz. The rebound. 3 Flyers converge on it. Billy Harris comes in to check with Lorne Henning. Bobby Clark comes away with a puck to Goodenough. Back to Reggie Leach at the blue line. Goodenough all the way to Clark. Clark, the slap shot, tipped up and over the glass and out of play as McLeish and Marshall there together. And the face-off will come outside the blue line as the puck went off Rick McLeish's stick.
Islanders are behind 1-0, but here's another fine save by Resch on a screen shot all the way. He's following it. Good save right with the right foot, and it's kicked into the corner. Here's a sign by one of the fans, you got to believe.
7:10 to go in this first period with Philadelphia in front 1-0, and 53 seconds remaining in the penalty. McLeish trying to break loose. Too sharp an angle. Shot it behind the net. Goodenough to DuPont. DuPont's shot. Attempted deflection by Leach didn't work. Bobby Clark. To the blue line. DuPont a shot. That's wide. The rebound behind Goodenough, who had a clear shot there. Leach. Leach takes a shot blocked by Jerry Hart. Hart to McLeish, and Hart gave McLeish a good pump. Goodenough to Leach. Leach a shot blocked by Hart. He dropped it, and Clark poked it to McLeish in the corner. Goodenough. Tried to center it. Hart blocked that. He's made 3 big plays. Hart with a puck. Great effort by the sturdy Islander defenseman. Good pass to Westfall. Ahead for Lorne Henning, too far. 7 seconds left in the penalty. Andre DuPont. The Flyers send fresh legs over the board. Barber comes on. Van Imp, Lonsberry, and Dornhofer. The penalty has expired. Dornhofer takes a bump from Nystrom. McMillan checked by Lonsberry. Potvin gives it to Marshall. Islanders change on the fly. Al Arbor sends on Ralph Stewart with Billy Harris and Bill McMillan. Van Imp up the board. Stewart throws it in front. Poked away by Jimmy Watson. Bert Marshall with Dave Lewis on the Islander defense. Marshall to Lewis. Lewis to McMillan. Jumped over his stick. Jimmy Watson being checked by McMillan. Watson won that battle of muscle and flipped the puck over the boards and out of play. Let's go to ice side and Brian McFarland.
Nobody suffers more than the general manager of a team in a critical game like this. Bill Torrey, did that first goal take some of the sting out of the Islanders?
Well, it did unsettle us a little bit, Brian. There's no question about it. Philadelphia came out as we expected, strong, forechecking very, very aggressively, and they caught us napping, and they had the bit of the better go in the early start, and now I think we're coming back a little bit, hopefully.
Still a long way to go. Thanks for joining us, Bill. Let's go back to the play.
Thank you, Brian. The Flyers controlling that draw. Terry Crisp is on between Dornhofer and Lonsberry. Joe Watson shoots it in. Dave Lewis back for it. Stewart, McMillan, and Harris still working up front for New York. Lewis, good pass to Stewart. Stewart, a blind pass right to Lonsberry of Philadelphia. Lonsberry's pass picked off by Harris. Over to Stewart. Ralph Stewart checked by 2 Flyers, Dornhofer and DuPont, who comes away with the puck and flips it into the Islander zone. 5 minutes remaining in the period. Philadelphia clinging to a 1-0 lead that they got early in the game. Marshall to Lewis. Lewis trying to steer it over the line. Lonsberry, good effort to keep it in. Zaleski battling. Zaleski tried to flick it behind him to Crisp, and it was picked off by Stewart. Harris is stopped by Clement. And Philadelphia shooting it in as both teams are changing on the fly. Dave Lewis dumps it out of the Islander zone. Van Imp is back for it. There'll be no icing. He had a chance to touch it before it crossed that goal line. Jimmy Watson up the middle too far for Bill Clement. This will be icing against the Flyers when it's touched by Jerry Hart. 4:23 remaining in this first period with the score. The Philadelphia Flyers 1, the New York Islanders 0.
How would you like to save up to $48 on your traveler's checks? During May you can because of this unusual offer from First National City Traveler's Checks. During May only, you can buy up to $5,000 worth of First National City Traveler's Checks for a fee of only $2. Of course, you can buy less, but you still save a lot. So buy them in May and spend them whenever you want. To save up to $48 in May, first ask for First National City Travelers checks at your bank.
Kim, the number of penalties and the looseness of this game, up and down, I would imagine both coaches certainly didn't want to plan to play it that loosely.
No, they're disciplined styles, and that's what's got them to where they are, by playing it safe and playing the system, and it's been wide open here in this first period. 1-0, though. Only one goal has been scored despite that. Good defensive plays, good checking in their respective defensive zones, and a couple of key saves at both ends. Perron has not really been tested. Here's Bourne with a shot. Nothing on it. Handled easily by Perron. Bob Bourne, who worked the last 2 games of the series after sitting out most of the Pittsburgh and Philadelphia series in favor of Ralph Stewart. He's added some much-needed speed and some zip to the Islander attack. They'll have a face-off now in the New York zone. Next Sunday, we'll be at Philadelphia or Buffalo, depending on what happens here today, and possibly Tuesday night. The Buffalo Sabres awaiting the outcome of this series. Next Sunday at 3:30 Eastern Time, we'll have Stanley Cup playoff action for you here on NBC. 3:30 Eastern Time next Sunday afternoon.
Have to congratulate Floyd Smith and his Buffalo Sabres, pulling quite a surprise to all Montreal fans, and I think most Canadian hockey fans, and maybe hockey fans all across the country.
Joe Watson's shot deflected off the skate of Ed Westfall. I think especially Buffalo winning that 6th game right in the Montreal Forum was the biggest surprise of all, and they dominated the Canadians in that game thoroughly despite a close 4-3 score. The Sabres have earned their way into the Stanley Cup final. There's no doubt about it. Lewis to Parise. Dave Lewis. Back of his net to Bert Marshall. In the middle to Jules Drouin. This has been the Islanders' big line. Parise trying to get around. Joe Watson can't do it. Is forced behind the net. Marshall hustles down the boards to keep it in. DuPont for Philadelphia. 3:11 to go in this period. Reggie Leach is stopped by Lewis. Islander defenseman gambling a little bit more now near the Philadelphia line. Bert Marshall spinning in his own zone, being turned back by Bobby Clark. And Clark taking himself off. Keep fresh legs on there. One thing Clark will do, he likes to be fresh at all times when he's on the ice, so he won't take a shift that's too long. He knows when to take himself off. Jerry Hart, a long shot, came right back to Perron, who was very alert to see that deflection come back off the glass. DuPont right in front of his own net, a risky play with Drouin right there. Joe Watson being checked by Parise, drops it off to DuPont. Jerry Hart breaks up the pass intended for Rick McLeish. Van Imp and Jimmy Watson come on, and icing is called against Philadelphia. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Hockey League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of the telecast without the express written consent of the National Hockey League is prohibited. The National Hockey League has a right of consultation regarding the announcers for this event.
Tim, you're talking about Clark. He gives so much when he's on the ice that he doesn't take long turns. He gives it. He back checks harder than anybody I've seen in the league on any team, and this is the type that he is, and works all of the time, so he wants himself fresh so that he doesn't hurt his club.
Well, with all of the extra work he gets, penalty killing and power plays and so on, nobody questions that he earns his money, and the best thing about him is that he is smart enough to take himself off when he feels that he's not at peak efficiency. Down in the Islanders' zone, Jerry Hart, and it's icing again as it just crossed the goal line, and he touched it, and the Flyers now having difficulty in moving the puck effectively out of their own end. Fred Sherrow, the Flyers coach, who must be talking to himself along with his players as they led 3-0 in this series, and we have a feature coming up on Fred Sherrow later in the hockey game between periods that we had the pleasure of doing down in Philadelphia. Coach Sherrow talking about his team and his city. Rick McLeish controlling that faceoff to Jimmy Watson. Van Imp to Clement. Clement playing with McLeish and Lunsbury now as Sherrill starts to juggle up his lines. He did that last Sunday here on our telecast in Game 3 using a number of line combinations. Billy Harris trying to break around Jimmy Watson. Can't do it. Young Jim Watson with all the poise of a grizzled veteran out there. Look at him carry the puck. He's their best puck-carrying defenseman. Takes the shot off the arm and glove of Glenn Resch, who had his body in front of it. McLeish nearly stealing from Stewart, but Stewart gets it over to Bill McMillan. Stewart, McMillan, and Harris. The unit for Al Arbor's Islanders. Now forechecking pressure by Philadelphia. That's their game. And that caused that pass out from the New York zone. Shot back in offside by Philadelphia. Dennis Potvin will be joining Brian McFarland at the end of the first period. And you'll be meeting him, and we'll be seeing highlights of the Montreal-Buffalo semifinal series with analysis by Howie Meeker. And we've got lots of more exciting playoff action ahead here on NBC. Earlier today on the WCT Singles Championship at Dallas, Arthur Ashe defeated Bjorn Borg 3-6, 6-4, 6-4, and 6-love. $50,000 first prize. Been quite a season for Arthur Ashe on the WCT circuit. And he wound it up in the final 8 today, clinching that championship match against young Bjorn Borg. Westphal and Barber on the face-off after the first pair was chased. DuPont shoots it in, knocked down by Lewis. Flyers come up with it. Barber poke checked on him by Marshall. Parise skates it out for New York. Westphal and Drouin with him. Clark, Leach, and Barber, the line for Philadelphia. It's the only line that Shero has kept together in this game so far. He had Dave Schultz on this line last week in Game 3 on the left wing, where he has Barber now. Another icing call against Philadelphia, and they've had 3 of those in the span of the past couple of minutes, Ted.
The Islanders are throwing that puck in, getting on them, and they're picking the man up, the Philadelphia man up inside of the Philadelphia end, and there's nobody for them to pass it to, so they try to get that long pass. They don't want the icing, but they certainly don't want it in their own end either, Tim.
Gary Howitt looking on, number 8, scrappy young winger who's been in 2 or 3 scraps with Dave Schultz. It's been quite an overmatch, but Howitt doesn't seem to understand that. He's taken the worst of it, but his teammate Clark Gillies apparently won the main event at the end of the Thursday night game at the Spectrum against the same Mr. Schultz. McLeish flipping it along the boards. He's now on left wing with Barber on the right side with Clark for the final few seconds of this first period. Bert Marshall's lead pass way too far for Drouin. We'll have an icing call against the New York Islanders. I'd like to acknowledge a wire we received earlier from actor Donald Sutherland, who was here Wednesday night. I happened to be sitting with Donald and his lovely wife, Francine, at that exciting game here Wednesday night. And Donald said a note today predicting an Islander victory. And Don's from Nova Scotia. I don't know why he's an Islanders fan, but maybe when he saw them pull off that miracle win here Wednesday night, he thought that they'd win here again this afternoon. Clark and Eddie Westphal to the left of Glenn Resch. The Islander goal, 1-0 the score. The Flyers with the only goal, and it came early at 1:42. Resch clearing it away, and Nystrom starts out. Nystrom is stopped by Rick McLeish, and he gives it quickly to Clark. Clark around Dennis Potvin. Potvin got a piece of him, pulled him down from behind, and now he has the puck as Westphal came over to help him. Potvin. 19 seconds left, and they're playing these last few minutes very cautiously. Westphal can't get past McLeish. Bert Marshall will try. 8 seconds, long slap shot. Glove save by Perrant. DuPont around the boards for Bill Barber. Too far. Marshall a drive. It was blocked by DuPont. Howard tried the rebound, hit the side of the net as the buzzer sounded, ending the first period of play. The Nassau County Coliseum in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup semifinal series. The score, the Philadelphia Flyers 1, the New York Islanders 0. That first period, close. Philadelphia 9, the Islanders 8. The Flyers will defend to our right, the Islanders to our left. The Islanders are in white. They trail 1-0 on a goal by Ross Lonsbury at 1:42. A tip-in of a shot by Joe Watson. Lonsbury has scored both of his playoff goals in this building. His other coming last Wednesday in Game 4. He has only 2 in the playoff activity so far. I think looking at the shots, Ted Lindsay, that Bernie Perrant has not really been tested by the Islanders.
The only real good chance that the Islanders would have had was whenever Dornhofer had taken Howard off the puck on that penalty to Bourne. Just wanted to make mention, Tim, maybe the Philadelphia mothers would like their team to win one more game for them, wouldn't they?
I suspect that's very much in their minds these days, and certainly this afternoon. And they'd rather have it here than wait for Tuesday night in Philadelphia, I'm sure. Drouin, Parise. Van Imp waiting. Back checking by Bobby Clark, an offside called at the Flyer line.
that's what Clark does so well. And what we were talking about earlier, why he heads to the bench. He just doesn't come back at an easy pace. He picks that man up. He helps the defenseman.
Clark on the face-off against Drouin. Barber and Leach are on the wings with Bobby Clark. Dave Lewis bounces it in. Bernie Perron puts the glove on that, feeding it to Jimmy Watson. Can't get it out. Marshall, the West ball, checked by Barber. Marshall follows on, throws it in front. A weak backhander. Stick save. Perron a little surprised. I think he was expecting a pass and not the shot. Marshall back in his own zone for that errant puck. Up the left side, too far for Parise. And it'll be picked up by Van Imp behind the goal line. An icing call against the New York Islanders in the opening minute of the second period. This is Game 6. The Flyers lead the series 3-2. They won the first 3, and the Cinderella Islanders came back to win the next 2. That Wednesday night game, one of the most unforgettable hockey games I've ever seen, along with that 8-7 Montreal-Chicago game a couple of years ago we had for you on NBC in a playoff game. And Al Arbor was one of the most calm people after that overtime win here on Wednesday night. He said, you just play one shift at a time, one period at a time. That's all I keep telling them to do. So we went out and played one shift in overtime and won the game. Rick McLeish on the draw against Westfall. Nystrom and Howard are on the wings. Westfall will go to the bench when he gets a chance. They had him on for that corner faceoff. Flyers have the puck. McLeish, Dornhofer, and Lonsberry the line. Potvin took Dornhofer out of the play and got away with it. Nystrom to Dennis Potvin. Potvin breaking out. 4 Islanders are up. Nystrom coming at full bore. The feed to Nystrom, and he can't get through the Flyer defenders, and Bernie Perron covers the puck. 18:39 remaining in the second period with the score. Philadelphia 1. The New York Islanders nothing.
We might be grounded. Weather looks bad.
Yeah. Oh, it's bad. Almost as bad as this pipe smells.
Maybe it's your tobacco. Try mine.
Sir Walter Raleigh Aromatic.
Sir Walter Raleigh Aromatic, a unique blend of tobaccos, liqueur flavored for rich taste and aroma.
Now this is aroma.
It sure is.
Quality pipe tobaccos from Sir Walter Raleigh, aromatic, regular, and special mixture.
On that little flip shot into the goal, Bernie Perron had a little bit of trouble with it. He didn't get his glove on it good enough, and it almost went loose on him.
Jerry Hart from the faceoff, fan of the shot. It comes right back to him, and Joe Watson bangs it out into the Islander zone. And there has not been any evidence of the Flyers kind of taking charge here in this first couple of minutes. They've been still continuing a generally cautious style of play. They lead 1-0. There's a loose play there right through the Philadelphia goal mouth. Jerry Hart flips it in again. Andre Dupont up the boards for Lonsberry, stolen by Bob Bourne in front. Howard couldn't get the shot away. A good defensive play by Andre Dupont, showing that quickness of his. Said it before, we think he's one of the most improved hockey players in the entire NHL that he's shown over the past couple of seasons. Dornhofer will get a tripping penalty. He took down Dennis Potvin behind the Islander goal. And New York gets another power play chance.
As Potvin made the pivot behind the net, here's number 12, Dornhofer, going in, and here's the pivot. And he beats Gary here, but Gary gets that stick out and took the feet out from under him. It'll give the Islanders a chance on the power play as they trail 1-0. Gary there waving his hand at the referee, very unhappy with that call. Felt it was one of those fluke trips, but it's a discretion call on the part of the referee. He saw it as a trip, and Gary has 2 minutes.
The Islanders have failed on 2 previous power play chances. Early in the first period, Dornhofer was off, and then on the 5-against-4 situation after Selesky took the double penalty. They have yet to score, and Philadelphia gets that big face-off. Bobby Clark the man. Clark. Barber, penalty killers up front. Pass around the boards by Marshall, and Harris didn't see it coming. Stewart, Harris, Gillies, and Fortier along with Marshall, a power play. Fortier stopped Barber right at his own line. Billy Harris lugs it in. Now goes to Gillies on the sideboards. Barber, good check on him. Barber starts Clark out. Potvin is back. Shot by Clark and blocked by Dennis Potvin. Potvin to Gillies. Gillies trying to get the puck out of his skates, has to go back to Potvin. Potvin for Stewart, behind him. And Van Impe takes it back into his own zone, using up time. 1:12 left in the penalty. Clark trying to send Barber in. It's blocked by Potvin. Stewart trying to get loose. Clark got the stick right up under his chin. Potvin, left side to Gillies. Gillies, slap shot, skate save by Perron. That's his toughest chance. Drive by Clark Gillies. And the Flyers slip it down into the Islanders zone. 50 seconds left in the penalty. Crisp and Clement come on for the Flyers, replacing Clark and Barber. The pass for Gillies too far from Fortier. Joe Watson lost his balance. Clement hustling after the puck. Took Stewart out of the play. Joe Watson drills it off the boards and down the ice. 35 seconds left in the penalty. Fortier. Parise. Back for Fortier. Crisp watching him. Fortier, bad pass. He caught Drouin turning inside and pads it off the boards outside. This has not been a good power play for New York here as the Flyers have frustrated them on it. Drouin. 4 Islanders over the line. Drouin to Parise. Nobody over here. They're changing defensemen. Potvin hustles back. Potvin for Parise off his stick. Parise pokes to Drouin. Drouin for Parise behind him. Dave Lewis can't get there to keep it in. A bad pass. Clement checking him effectively, and it's offside call as the penalty expires at the Flyer blue line. 15:31 to go, second period. The score, Philadelphia 1, the Islanders nothing.
Well, tonight's a big one, huh?
You nervous?
You?
Converse coach and Jack Purcell's, right out of the Converse tradition of fine, tough athletic shoes.
You think they'll be tough?
When you're ready for action,
They'll be tough.
they're a lot more than just sneakers.
Well, you ready?
Here goes.
And when you want to get casual, they're a lot more than just athletic shoes.
They are definitely tough.
Converse coach and Jack Purcell's.
When the goaltender hasn't been too busy, every save is important, and it's tough to keep warm. And here's that real good save with that left leg and stick by Perron off of Gillies. And that's pretty tough when you get a little bit cool to keep yourself alert, but Perron is the best in the business.
President Trophy winning goaltender over the regular season. Billy McMillan lost it to Bob Kelly. Bob Kelly, number 9. Larry Goodenough with the puck. He's number 5, rookie defenseman. Throws it in front, and John Potvin just checked in time by an alert Lonsberry. Kelly the other way. Slap shot, stick save Fresh. Kelly taken off the rebound by Burt Marshall. John Potvin, number 4, out for the first time. Dave Lewis. Potvin playing up on right wing with Henning and McMillan, a 4th line. Making its first appearance from the Islander bench, Al Arbor, putting that unit out against McLeish, Kelly, and Lonsberry. McLeish, good tough check on him by McMillan. McMillan throwing it in front. Henning checked by Ted Harris. Here's Henning again. Henning to McMillan. Can't get the shot away as Harris checks it. Henning, as the Islanders put some pressure on with his 4th line unit. John Potvin knocked down in front. Pass intended for McMillan too far, and Kelly comes out. The pass to McLeish. Rick McLeish, watch him skate. Poetry in motion. Rolling puck. Glenn Resch clears it behind his net. Too far for McMillan. Van Impe hustles to keep it in. Bob Kelly to McLeish. Play opening up again. Dave Lewis stepping in front of Kelly neatly to control the puck. Goes back with it to Bill McMillan. McMillan cross in front of his own goal. A shot by Schultz. Glove save by Glenn Resch, and he knocks the rebound down. Cleared by Lewis. That was a great shot by Schultz on the steal and a fine save by Resch. Bill Clement trying to keep it in. Zaleski does, but Jean Potvin clears it down to the Flyer zone. A mistake in the Islander zone again nearly cost him a second goal on a hot drive by Dave Schultz. Clement to Schultz. He's checked by Nystrom. Clement follows on, hands it right to Marshall of New York. Ahead to Nystrom. Bob Nystrom. Got very little ice time because of the way the line rotation has been messed up. Hart is a clutching shot. Saved by Perron on the rebound. Here's Nystrom. Nystrom into the slot for Hart. Comes all the way to Potvin. Knocks it to the corner. Gary Howard as the Islanders swarm again. Howard looking for the open man. Stick handling. Set. Nystrom in front to score. And Perron cut the pass off. The Flyers clear it out over the blue line, and Hart couldn't keep it in. Dennis Potvin and Jerry Hart. Hart lost to Potvin and Dave Schultz again. The shot. And it's deflected by Jerry Hart. Over the back and out of play. 13:04 to go in the second period. The score, Philadelphia 1. The New York Islanders 0.
Of the new personal midsize cars, one is getting a lot of recognition.
Hey, Charger!
Yesterday's Dodge Charger got recognition for winning 75 racing titles.
Hey, Charger!
Today's Charger is a midsize car with a style that keeps it ahead of the crowd. And it's getting recognition.
Hey, Charger!
Maybe too much recognition?
Hey, Charger!
It's a good shot by Dave Schultz with Rush really being tested here. He got the glove hand on the puck. The puck come out of it up into the air as Dave Lewis alertly moved onto it very quickly as number 8 Dave Schultz chases him in behind that net.
The booing you hear is for goaltender Bernie Perron of the Flyers as he slapped his stick on the ice to get the referee's attention. He wanted to fix a strap on his skate. Of course, a goaltender cannot unduly delay the game or he must be replaced. If he had to go off for an equipment repair, he would have to be replaced. Their backup goalie is Wayne Stevenson.
Those last few minutes or seconds was the best offensive effort that the Islanders have come up with this afternoon. They were buzzing in there pretty good. Here again is that last rush Warren, number 14, waiting for that pass. It just didn't quite make it from Bob Nystrom.
Looked like Perron got a piece of his goal stick on it there and cut it off. An alert play by the goalie. We're back live in the Islanders zone. They get the draw. Drouin, Westfall, Parise against Clark, Barber, and Reggie Leach. Westfall to Dennis Potvin. 1-0 the Flyers lead it. Potvin stopped by DuPont. Westfall goes over there to get it. Watching Clark and Westfall is a game in itself. They just hammer each other all the way up and down that ice. Mutual respect they have for their ability to make the big play, and so they cover each other well. Clark beating Barber. Westfall bumps him. Leach comes in. It's offside at the New York Islander line. 12:31 to go in the second period, and wide open play in the last couple of minutes. And as Ted Lindsay pointed out, the best offensive thrust by the Islanders, who I don't know whether it's my imagination, but they appear to be a little more loose than the Flyers do, even though they're down a goal, Ted.
Yes, they're handling the puck very much better, I think, in the second period so far. They're getting it on the stick. In the first period, they seem to be a little bit tight, Tim, throwing the puck behind them, throwing the puck away to the Philadelphia team.
Ted Harris on the feed from Clark's face-off pass, and it's drilled in by Larry Goodenough. Dave Lewis brings it out. Lewis for Drouin, didn't see it coming. Hart to Clark, quickly to Barber. Good pass by Clark to Barber, but he's covered immediately by Lewis and Westfall. And Clark gets the hip into Westfall. It'll be a penalty to Bobby Clark. Play continues. Now the whistle comes. And I believe it'll be just to Clark, but no, it looks like Westfall's going to go too. And they've been hammering each other here on this shift, up and back and forward. I'm not surprised that Art Skov has been watching them closely.
Well, you mentioned it, they were going at each other, coming down the other side of the ice. And here's Clark getting that hip into him, and there's the stick with the one hand by Westfall going at Clark. But Skov, watching this start a little bit earlier, recognized that both of these players at fault. Bobby getting the knee into Bob Westfall, or just a little bit there, and then of course Bobby Clark having to serve the 2 minutes. Ed Westfall swinging that stick with the one hand, certainly not intending to get it anywhere near his head, but just to let Bobby know he didn't appreciate that knee.
It's been quite a duel throughout the 6 games of this series between those two veteran players. Westfall with, of course, several more years' experience in the game than Bobby Clark. Clark seemed to be an instant veteran, as I recall. McLeish ahead for Lonsberry, and Henning just checked him in time. Lonsberry stays on the puck. Lewis is there to help. Number number 25, and they get a face-off inside the Islander zone. And now let's go down to ice side and Brian McFarland.
Tim, we have Andre Saint-Laurent of the Islanders with us. Andre, you've missed the last couple of playoff games. Is it tougher on you sitting here watching or playing?
Yeah, I think it's a little tougher because you can't get the frustration out. If you're on the ice, you get the frustration out and you play as well as you can. But sitting out here, I'm a little nervous watching the game.
Your team going to come back and win this?
Well, I hope so. And I think we're doing a good job. Nobody expected us to come this far, and we're still coming on strong.
Thanks for joining us, Andre. Let's go back upstairs.
Andre Saint-Laurent has contributed greatly to the Islanders' success this season, and as we mentioned, Bob Bourne in the lineup, the feeling that they wanted to get a little more speed against these tough-checking Flyers, and Bourne has responded well with his play in the last two games. Ralph Stewart had worked his way into the lineup, replacing Bourne, and so Al Arbor using all of his players as Fred Sherrill believes you should do as well. Dennis Potvin, Jerry Hart, back to Potvin. The teams are 5 aside with 1:20 left in the twin penalties, slashing against Clark and Westfall at 7:49 of period number 2. Islanders in possession, McMillan with the puck. And wheeling away from Rick McLeish is not an easy task, and he didn't make it. Van Imp takes a good bump from McMillan. Got the pass around to Lonsbury. 2 Islanders converge on him. Comes all the way around to Potvin. Good forechecking, paid off. The shot by Potvin. A leg save by Perron as he went down. He got his knee on it and covers up on the rebound.
One good thing about Kenneth Potvin, when he gets a shot on goal, he doesn't have to take the big wind-up on the slap shot. He keeps it low. There's Bill McMillan right in front of that net, trying to screen, and then he tried to deflect that puck. There it hits Perron, comes off him, but very alertly he gets that stick out and pulls it back underneath his body.
Potvin, who fired that shot, the leading scorer for the New York Islanders in this series with 2 goals and 5 assists. Frank Lewis, the Flyers trainer, looking on a little bit anxiously, and Ed Van Imp, the veteran defenseman, behind him. Trainers get just as involved in these playoff games as the teams do, that's for sure.
They're really the unsung heroes. They do all of the work at all of the early hours of the morning, but they're really appreciated by the players.
Balt's face-off. They'll do it again inside the circle to the left of Bernie Perron, and somebody stepped in that circle too soon, and he's warned by referee Art Skov. Clement will take the draw against Ralph Stewart. Stewart and Harris against Clement and Crisp up front. Clement got it to Crisp, and he dropped it back to DuPont. Crisp with it again, a former New York Islander, number 15. Crisp being checked from behind by Stewart, but Joe Watson brings it up. Saw Crisp offside and put the brakes on. Now Dornhofer comes on, replacing Crisp. The shot by Joe Watson, blocked neatly by Jerry Hart. Ralph Stewart backhands it off his backboards for Dennis Potvin. Potvin, a Billy Harris up the right side. 26 seconds left in the twin penalties. Harris can shoot it. It's deflected by DuPont and goes up into the souvenir country. 22 seconds left in the penalties.
That's the situation right there. Billy Harris with that long windup on the slap shot. Moose DuPont putting his stick out. All Bill had to do was to make that little hesitation and go one stride wider, and then that gives him a better opportunity, and certainly the puck wouldn't deflect off that stick up into the glass. That's the one bad thing about the slap shot. It takes a lot of fellas take just a little bit too long to get rid of it, and it gives the defensive defenseman a chance to get his stick in front of it to either block it or deflect it over the glass.
Billy Harris was the Islanders' very first draft choice in their first season 3 years ago, and he has been one of their dandies. Followed on by Dennis Potvin this year. Clark Gillies his first picks. Bourne is on now with Nystrom up front. Flyers got the draw. Clement and Dornhofer remain up front. DuPont and Joe Watson back. Andre DuPont to Dornhofer. Dornhofer a shot wide of the net. Nystrom with the puck. Nystrom a blind pass to Bourne, and it went behind him. Lewis in the Islander zone. Off the boards for Burt Marshall. Nystrom takes a hit from Clark. Bourne can't get started. The penalties to Clark and Westfall having expired. They're back at 6 aside. Bourne's pass off a leg. Nystrom watched by Clark, up for Bourne. Bourne is met at the blue line by DuPont. Joe Watson's pass broken up by Howitt. DuPont used his glove to knock that puck toward the Islander line. It went to an Islander player, thus no whistle on the play. Bob Bourne with a good move ahead for Nystrom, too far, and DuPont clears it down into New York territory. It'll be an icing infraction against the Philadelphia Flyers. 9:36 remaining in the second period. The score, Philadelphia 1, the New York Islanders 0.
You can do beautiful things with Schweppes tonic water, bitter lemon, club soda, and ginger ale. Everything Schweppes touches, it improves with the sparkle of Schweppescence and the curiously refreshing quality you get only from Schweppes. Let everything else be ordinary, the taste of Schweppes makes it extraordinary. Schweppes, the taste maker.
Face off to the right of Bernie Perron. Druin gets it. The shot by Lewis deflected wide. Bouncing puck taken by Ted Harris. Harrison good enough. The defense pairing for Philadelphia now. Forechecking by Westfall. Gets the puck to Drouin, but Bobby Clark helping out in there. Comes away with the puck. Barber ties up Bert Marshall down the boards. Clark is there again. Westfall digging. Harris gets into it. Drouin comes over. And then they finally get it frozen again for a face-off. Again to the left of Bernie Perron.
A lot of aggressive forechecking there. Islanders trying to get that puck loose, and Philadelphia making sure that they didn't.
Billy Barber working today on that line with Bobby Clark. We mentioned last week in the 1-0 game, Dave Schultz played on left wing with Clark.
That pass that you talked about there is under the bridge, I guess you'd call that, Tim. A hand pass by Dupont. Very well done.
Looked like perhaps one of the NFL football teams could use him at center, showing his form there. And the puck did not go to another flyer, thus there was no whistle on the play. Terry Crisp on the pass from Jimmy Watson. McLeish, Crisp, and Lonsbury out there now against Ralph Stewart, Billy Harris, and Clark Gillies. Dennis Potvin chased deep by Terry Crisp. 1-0 game. That was the final score last week in Game 3 when the Flyers took that 3-0 lead in the series. A very close checking game. This one has had its more wide open moments. But we have not had a tremendous number of scoring opportunities at either end.
Tim, you were talking about Bill Harris being the first draft choice of the Islanders. He is also an Iron Man, I guess you might call him. He's played in every game, 252 games since the club came into the league.
Islanders get the face-off. Dennis Potvin to Jerry Hart. Pass to Clark Gillies. Gillies over the blue line, lost his balance. Jimmy Watson picks it up. McLeish going with him now. And Dennis Potvin broke up the pass, but Lonsbury follows on, and Jerry Hart cuts him off. They go to the boards together heavily. Potvin tried to start Gillies. The pass way too far for him, and it'll be an icing call against New York. Van Impe touching the puck. And a reminder about other sports activity here on NBC. Baseball next week. The Cincinnati Reds against the Expos at Montreal. Joe Garagiola and Tony Kubek will be on hand for that one. Milwaukee will be at Minnesota. Jim Simpson and Maury Wills describing the action. Consult your local listings for the game to be televised in your area. Our coverage begins with a pregame show at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. NBC Sports, #1 in live coverage of major sports events all year round.
Dave Schultz coming onto the ice, got his usual welcome here in Long Island, Tim. A round of boos from the local fans here, mostly Islander fans. But this is only the third time that Dave's been on the ice in the game, principally because of all the penalties in the first period. And he did miss that good opportunity the last time on.
He's had 2 good shots. Resch beat him on both of them. Clement back checking. It took the puck away for Joe Watson. He's tied up immediately. Flyers keep it in. Zaleski backhanded it into the traffic. And Marshall clears it out to Nystrom. Nystrom with Joe Watson in pursuit, and Watson cuts him off. Zaleski away from Howitt. Lewis stops Schultz. Puck inside the Flyer line, and it's touched by Howitt. The offside is called. 7:54 remaining in the second period. There's Don Zaleski, one of the bearded men of the Flyers. They've got 3 full beards on the team, and Jules Drouin, the only Islander sporting all of the facial hair. Dave Lewis tried to hit Howitt. The pass too far. Bourne racing after it. Bourne, Howitt, and Nystrom the line. Bourne playing in Andre Saint-Laurent's spot of this unit. Marshall throws it into the middle. Dupont steered it to Zaleski. Ahead to Schultz. It's behind him. Taken by Dave Lewis. Lewis too far for Nystrom. Dupont brings it up. 4 Flyers over the line. A hot drive by Dupont. Gloved by Glenn Resch, who clears it back of the net right to Clement. But Howitt is there to check him before he can make the play. Bourne to Nystrom, 2-on-2, good enough, and DuPont back. The shot by Nystrom blocked by DuPont. Islanders trying to keep it in. It's loose, and Schultz breaks out with it. Dave Schultz with Clement. Takes the shot, overskates the puck. Nystrom brings it back quickly. And the crowd enjoys that mishap by Schultz. Nystrom trying to slip through, but Larry Goodenough on the play. Centering pass by Nystrom. Broken up by Perron. Harris takes Howard off the puck. Goodenough trying to get it out. Hart keeps it in. Here's Drouin trying to center. Blocked by Harris. Another try. Blocked by Goodenough. And he clears it out of there as New York puts some pressure on. It'll be icing called against Philadelphia. 6:41 remaining in the second period, and the score remains. The Philadelphia Flyers 1, the New York Islanders 0.
The Super Starter. Only Solid State Lawn Boy gives you both. Solid State Ignition for quick starts with a hotter spark. Carburetor for sure starts with 1/3 fewer parts to go wrong. Solid State Ignition, simplified carburetor for quick, sure starts. Only on Solid State Lawn Boy. The Super Starter.
There's Bernie Perron's view of the face-off. Clark against Drouin. Clark gets it back to Goodenough. Harry Goodenough around to Barber. Barber met there by Dennis Potvin, gambled a bit coming down the boards, but he gets the face-off.
Tim, one thing I've noticed about Philadelphia in the years that I've been watching them, they're exceptionally good at picking pucks up when they're coming right along the boards. When the defenseman shoots from around the boards, Bill Barber is a real specialist at it. Handles it. A lot of times that puck can hit your stick and bounce up into the center and give the other team a good shot, but he never lets that happen. That's a very difficult pass to take.
Flyers started back in 1967. The Islanders started 3 years ago. Whatever happens, it'll be an all-expansion Stanley Cup final. Drouin took a high stick there. It was an accidental one, but it got him right up above the eyes. And he felt it. The whistle blows as Westfall came away with a puck that had been held long enough. And Drouin now just checking to see if he was cut. 2 Flyers checking him, and Bill Barber just went over there to say, sorry, Jude, it was unintentional.
Here's the play right here. As he was trying to get the stick onto his gloves, but he went down, Druid went down quite low.
Barber was backing up at the time, too, so he was being taken away from Drouin, but it's apparently not serious. He just got a little smack there that no doubt had a little sting to it. Stewart got the draw to Harris. Play is underway in the Flyers zone, but the Philadelphia team clears it out to center ice, and McMillan takes over. Harris, McMillan, and Stewart against Dornhofer, McLeish, and Ross Lonsberry. Lonsberry steering it ahead for Rick McLeish too far. Dave Lewis is back. Lewis met there by McLeish, and Lewis breaks loose. Dave Lewis comes out as Marshall and Dornhofer collided back in the Islander zone. Perron clears it to the back boards. Stewart will settle for a face-off there, and he gets it.
Kurt Marshall paid the price for cutting Gary Dornhofer off. He interfered with him, and you don't do that to Gary too often without paying the price. By that, it was a little bit of an elbow in the head, wrestled him down, threw him into the corner.
Took his helmet off along the way.
You'll see it right here. There it is as he cuts him off to give his player a chance to get out. There's the elbow and then the throw. Gary, he gives everything at all times.
And technically, Marshall was interfering, so Gary had a beef there. Harris centering it. McMillan too well covered by Joe Watson. Couldn't get the shot away. Good effort by Lewis to keep it in, but Stewart can't control. DuPont to McLeish. McLeish over the line, fakes the shot. There it is, and off the arm of Glenn Rescher got a piece of that one. Dornhofer trying to feed McLeish the pass too hard for him to handle. Marshall brings it up. Marshall. Backhand pass to Dave Lewis off his skates. He just dumps it into the Flyers zone. 5 minutes left in the second period. Lead pass for McLeish. The Islanders were changing, but McLeish couldn't get ahead of Lorne Henning. He still has the puck. Fakes the shot, and then Hart knocks him down. McLeish runs into Henning. Flyers keep it in. Joe Watson to Lonsberry. In the slot, McLeish pulls back on the backhand with Henning watching him. Here's Selesky. The shot right through. Glove saved by Resch. And he had to look for that one as Hart tried to block it and missed. 4:37 remaining in the second period. Philadelphia leading the Islanders 1-0.
Oh, I see great wealth in your future.
You do?
I see much success with an innovative company.
No kidding.
I see tires. B.F. Goodrich Tires, a B.F. Goodrich dealership.
Mine?
Yes, yours. You'll be a respected businessman in your community, a leader.
The blimp. Do you see me riding in the Goodrich blimp?
Riding in what?
The blimp.
That'll be $5, Turkey.
B.F. Goodrich. We're the other guys. Remember?
Tim, I'd like to know what kind of a golf score McLeish has. He really has a great set of wrists on him.
Doesn't he? He can fire that puck and he can skate, and he is having himself quite a series. Dennis Potvin. Jerry Hart to Westfall. To Howitt. Long shot off the corner boards. Nystrom after it. Two flyers on him. He got there. Feeds it to Howitt. Dennis Potvin. A low drive off the leg. It's loose. Centering try by Henning is blocked by Jimmy Watson, and he holds on to that puck. He was not about to give them a loose puck there as the Islanders had the heat on again.
Islanders arguing that he closed his hand on it, but the puck went up onto his chest, and he just kept his arm against it. Referee Art Skov was looking at the play all of the way. Freddie Perron was pushed out of the net here on the shot by Potvin. You see Nystrom come over there, got in behind him, and he was helped a little bit into the net by the Philadelphia player, by Watson. And that's where the puck went up onto Jim Watson's chest, and then now for the face-off.
The only goal so far scored way back, it seems, at 1:42 of the first period. Ross Lonsbury's deflection of Joe Watson's shot, giving Philadelphia that 1-0 lead. A hand pass there, charged against Philadelphia, going to Don Selesky, and thus the whistle, and they'll face it off at that point. Again this year, NBC Sports will bring you the best in women's tennis from Amelia Island Plantation in Florida. Join Jim Simpson, Julie Heldman, and Bobby Rakes for the Family Circle Cup, featuring last year's defending champion, Chris Effort. That's next Saturday, 5 to 6 Eastern Time, and then again Sunday from 2 to 3:30 Eastern Time, here on NBC. Gary Howitt to Henning. Lauren Henning throws it right across the crease, and Nystrom is too tied up to get the shot. Watson had a pretty good grip on it. Howitt runs into Jim Watson. Clement comes out. Nystrom gives him a bump. Potvin kept it. And a penalty coming up to Clark for tying up Dennis Potvin as he tried to walk into the slot. Another power play chance for New York.
Bobby Clark very unhappy. He knew he deserves this penalty, but it was Potvin was moving in, getting ready to make a good play. Here's Clark in the penalty box, very unhappy. This will give the Islanders an opportunity on that power play, and they haven't been too potent on it today or last Sunday. There's you see number 16, the hook, on number 5, Potvin. We'll have Billy Harris, Ed Westfall, J.P. Parisi, Dennis Potvin, and Jude Druin on the points for the Islanders, with DuPont, Joe Watson, McLeish, and Lonsbury killing it for Philadelphia. Islanders are 0 for 5 on power plays in today's game, so we'll see what they can do with this one.
All right, Westfall against McLeish. Westfall got it to Drouin. Dennis Potvin score! Dennis Potvin! And it's tied up at 1-1. Right from the faceoff, Eddie Westfall got the pass back perfectly, and a low bullet from Dennis Potvin.
Beating Perron on the short side. We'll see the place from Jude Druin over to Potvin. Puts it right low along the ice, in between the right leg and the post.
Well, that's a great shot, Ted. Perfect shot.
Very difficult. You'll see it again. Perron all set for the shot. There it goes between his right leg and the post. Another look at it, real close from Perron. Didn't get that right leg out quite quick enough.
Well, the Islander crowd going wild here as they tie it up at 16:15 of the second period. Dennis Potvin, he's their leading scorer in this series. His third playoff goal. Drouin gets the assist, and Westfall will have to get the second assist. Yes, he does. They announced that. 16-15. Ties it at 1-1. And a lot of debris thrown in celebration here will delay the continuation of the game for a couple of minutes as Al Arbour looking very calm. I think Al Arbour just expects miracles now, and not that that was a miracle goal, but he just kind of expects that his team can win.
Well, when Bobby, as we mentioned, when he was going to the penalty box, he was very unhappy with the penalty. He felt that probably was unnecessary in his part. He was concerned to the fact that they might get the tying goal, and that was only 5 seconds after the penalty was called, right from the face-off in the corner to tie this game 1-1. So it's a new game. Al Arbour, as you mentioned, very calm, very confident. Nothing surprises him about his team.
Well, they believe in themselves, and I had the feeling talking with some of the Flyers yesterday afternoon, again this morning, little tension on their part. And yet some of the other followers of that team felt that they were loose and ready to explode today. So far, they haven't done so. Dennis Potvin's 5th playoff goal, the 3rd of this series, makes it 1-1 at 16-15. These are the champion Flyers. They are the best team in the National Hockey League this season by points and wins. And certainly the Islanders are the first ones to know that. Leach trying to break loose. Penalty being called, holding. Lewis will get the gate, and Philadelphia gets an immediate chance back at the power play here to break up the tie and go in front again.
Reg Leach, who can do it so well. Here's the play from Clark as Leach here, number 27, moves to the outside. Leach gets the puck, goes to step to the inside. But Dave Lewis put that stick between his legs and had a good hold on him with the left arm. Good call by Stove. It'll give them the Islanders, or Philadelphia, should say, excuse me, an opportunity to score on the power play.
Reggie Leach scored that goal here Wednesday night that came about a second and a half after the end of regulation time and was wiped out. And then Parise got the game winner. Or Drouin, pardon me. Barber's shot. There's a drive by Clark that's deflected high and wide. Leach in the slot. Can't get the shot away. Marshall poke check. Clark. Good enough. Low drive, 6-8, Glenn Rash. Rebound, a Leach. Barber at the blue line. That was a big stop through the traffic. Leach lost control of the puck. Clark comes over to help out. Dennis Potvin steals and fires it down the ice. 1:22 remaining on the penalty to Dave Lewis. A holding penalty at 16:36. Here's Dornhofer. Leach coming behind him, down to the slot. Dornhofer with the puck. Throws it right in front off the leg. Clark keeps it in. Clark to McLeish. Rick McLeish and Dornhofer heads to that slot area. McLeish to Clark. Throws it into the crease. He pumps at the rebound, and Rush has it between his legs with Dornhofer knocked in on top of it. 56 seconds remaining in the penalty to Dave Lewis.
Dornhofer always right in that crease. Here he is. Bobby Clark coming out, getting a good shot away. There's Dennis Potvin shoving Gary Dornhofer over Rush and into the net. And Dave Lewis kind of looking and praying probably, Tim, to get that clock to move a little bit quicker. Come on there, move that thing along. Let me get out of here.
56 seconds left in Lewis's penalty. And I would think Glenn Resch probably said, thanks, Dennis, for dumping big Gary Dornhofer on me. He's got a few pounds on Chico Resch. Potvin clearing the puck down the ice again. And the Flyers lose control at center ice. Potvin with the puck. 40 seconds left in the penalty. Potvin stick-handed. He shoots and assists everything. All the way back into the Islander zone. Hart is there. Fans on it. A golf to tip. Lonsberry in on goal. What a play by Lauren Henning coming back. Lauren Henning diving on that centering pass. Breaking up, there was a man all alone in front, Bill Barber, after Hart. Hart tried a bad play there, Ted, golfing that backhander. He missed everything.
Right, Lonsberry anticipated it. You'll see him, it hit him in the chest, and here Henning, number 10, just threw himself as Lonsberry tried to get that puck across. Bill Barber argued, number 7 comes in there, argued with referee Art Skoll that he pulled it under his body with the arm, which he did not do.
He never had possession of the puck. But you could see it come free as he hit the boards. But Jerry Hart, who's played so well, made a very bad play there.
Careless play on the part of Hart. He didn't have possession of the puck. He just golfed it and hit Lonsberry in the middle of the chest and bounced right full stride with him.
That Henning has been a terrific hockey player for the Islanders in these playoffs, a penalty killer primarily, sometimes on the fourth line. And he has been an action man every time out there for them. And he had to really hustle to get back into that play. He's a good skater, and he made a big one there with Barber alone in front. Flyers control the faceoff. 23 seconds left in the penalty. Andre Dupont crossed it good enough. Good enough for McLeish. A bad pass. Too hot for him and off the ice. Hart, centering try. Westfall broken up. Westfall maintains possession and shoots it down the ice. 8 seconds left in the penalty. Fred Sherrill showing confidence in that rookie good enough. He's had him out there in all the power plays. McLeish over the line, slap shot, leg save by Resch. That McLeish can really shoot the puck. There's nothing he can't do, come to think of it. Parise out of his own zone. The penalty has expired. The team's back at full strength. Gets around Dupont. Shoots off the leg of good enough to the far corner. Drouin back to Parise. Centering for Drouin, and Bobby Clark is there to check him. Clark pinning Drouin. The puck is loose. Good enough comes in, and it's held long enough for a faceoff. And up come the elbows and arms. DuPont's in there quickly as Parise and Clark push and shove a little bit. The linesmen are there, D'Amico and Finn, to keep the peace.
The concern of Fred Sherrill is the fact that his power play moving very well in the other team's end, but they haven't scored a goal in the last 19 attempts. Bladen scored in the second game of the series. So Fred Sherrill has to be concerned about it. He has good puck handlers, good puck scorers, but they're just not finishing it off. They're moving the puck well, but they can't finish.
Dennis Potvin tying it up at 16:15 of this second period. We have 55 seconds remaining to play in this period, a 1-1 hockey game. Bobby Clark against Jules Drouin to the right of Bernie Perron. Clark got the puck, and Drouin hustled over to get it as Clark had a pretty good grip on him. Only 1 second went off on the clock. Art Skoll blew the whistle there. I'm not sure what for. Skoll signaling to Barber. He may have come in the circle, and I guess the whistle blew immediately, and the timekeeper stopped the clock correctly. Players didn't hear the whistle. Jimmy Watson as Clark controlled that one, but Watson's passed too far for McLeish. Marshall to Drouin. Drouin tried to shoot it in. He hit Van Impe. It comes back to Drouin. Drouin could move around Clark. Offside is called against the New York Islanders. 43 seconds left.
I think there's Al Arbor very unhappy, and I think justifiably so. That puck did not go out from our vantage point, but John D'Amico was blocked by one of the players, and I guess he wanted to make sure.
Well, attention is felt by officials working these games as well as the players in Stanley Cup competition. There's certainly every bit as much pressure or more on the officials in the Stanley Cup game. So they're going to make their share of mistakes too. Parise trying to get it away from Barber. Hand pass is charged as he had to bat at that puck with his hand, and it went to Bert Marshall. So they'll face it off in the Islander zone to the right of Glenn Resch. J.P. Parise, what a playoff he's having. And can you imagine what he was thinking about mid-season as he was toiling for the last place North Stars? He probably was thinking about the golf season or something.
I don't really believe that he was toiling that hard, at least the way, Minnesota at that time was going. You become mentally disenchanted. The club's not going anyplace, but he has certainly found new life along with Drouin here in Long Island.
Well, certainly that has to be the key trade ever made by the New York Islanders. And their general manager, Bill Torrey, gives full credit to these two men for being the main reason they're in the playoffs. Westfall will face off against Terry Crisp as the crowd encourages the goaltender Glenn Resch with his nickname Chico. Islanders controlling this face-off. Potvin, a Westfall, a Drouin. Drouin with Lonsbury in pursuit. The pass off the boards for Parise. Offside is called again. 12 seconds left in the period. And Al Arbour, a look of disgust again as John D'Amico makes the call. Al Arbour stands right along that blue line behind the Islander bench, so I'm sure he has a very solid opinion on all of the offsides.
Tim, we called him Radar when he was a teammate. You know, he's got those glasses there, so maybe they're misleading him a little bit, too.
You know, a reporter asked me the other day, he said, you know, you recall seeing Al Arbour in his playing days. He said, what would you say was his greatest asset? And I said, well, he had that nickname Radar because he wore glasses, but surely best known for blocking shots. He was a master at that. And Bert Marshall of this current Islander team is probably most like his coach. Time has expired. Glenn Resch goes skating off in his usual speedy fashion. Like Ard Schenk, the Dutch speed skating champion. Resch takes off to the locker room. The Flyers, who led 1-0, leave the game at the end of 2 periods tied 1-1 on the goal by Dennis Potvin. The score at the end of 2, the Islanders won and the Flyers won. In the nets to the right, and Bernie Parent, the Vezina Trophy winner, to the left. Glenn Resch, who was really the second goalie behind Bill Smith over the regular season. Smith got most of the work, and Resch acknowledged himself as the second man. But in the playoffs, he's been number 1. When he got in there, he played so well, they couldn't take him out. Smith played 1 game in this Philadelphia series, was victimized in an overtime game in Game 2. Did not play all that badly, really, but when Resch came back in the 3rd game to lose 1-0 here last Sunday, and he stayed in there, and he certainly has been their key man. The Islanders to our right, the Flyers to our left, and they have the puck. Philadelphia's Reg Leach's pass is blocked by Parise. It spins over there to Jimmy Watson. Barber, Clark, Leach, the forward line. Jimmy Watson and Ed Van Imp. Drouin racing for a loose puck. Throwing it to the far corner for Westfall. Leach has him covered. The puck is loose. Barber on it. Stolen by Westfall, but he can't control. Clark lost it to Drouin. Backhand shot and a stick save by Perron. A good shot by Drouin, and Perron, anticipating it, got that leg out. Barber trying to break loose. Marshall poke checks it. Westfall's pass picked off by Reg Leach. A long shot. Not too much on it. Glenn Resch handles that. Lewis, as the teams change on the move. Over the center line, banks it off the end boards. Remember, in Stanley Cup play, they play to a finish. Sudden death overtime. Should it be tied at the end of regulation time? Dupont, a blast, and a glove save by Glenn Resch, who holds on with Gary Dornhofer, number 12, arriving on the doorstep.
There was a lot of speed on that shot by Dupont, and there's Resch as he shakes his hand. That stung a little bit. Probably the hand's a little bit cool. Here's number 6, Dupont, getting everything behind it, and that left hand by Resch, gobbling that puck up very quickly, and we have a face-off to the left.
Islanders control. Jerry Hart with the puck. Bob Bourne, number 14, is at center between Gary Howard and Bob Nystrom. Bourne can fly. The pass for Howard. He didn't see it in time. Now he hustles in against Dornhofer, but Joe Watson gives it to Dornhofer. Dornhofer back quickly. Rangy right winger, taken out of the play by Jerry Hart. Dennis Potvin with it. Potvin for Nystrom. Nystrom away from Lonsbury. Bourne brings it up. Bourne trying to get around Potvin. Bourne throws it across the crease, and Gary Howard took it in the skates. Howard another try, checked by Dupont. Jerry Hart throws it in front between the legs of everybody. Potvin shot, that's wide. Jerry Hart trying to keep it in. Dornhofer got it by him, but paid the price with a stiff hip check. Dornhofer ties up Hart. Howard shoots it back into Flyers territory. Rick McLeish winding in his own zone. Gives it to Joe Watson. Back to McLeish, who takes it neatly in the palm of the hand. Takes the drop pass. Then Potvin runs it right into the Islander bench. Out comes Hart. Hart too far for Nystrom. End-to-end action here early in the 3rd period. Ralph Stewart to Nystrom, who takes a bump at the blue line. Offside is called. 17:45 to go in regulation time, with the score tied at 1-1.
It happens so slowly you hardly notice it. Your 2-year-old car begins to drift, sway, and roll. And it's like driving at sea. A set of Monroe-Matic shock absorbers can help put you back on solid ground. Because the better the shock absorbers, the better your ride control. And Monroe-Matics adjust automatically to give you solid, automatic ride control. So let Monroe put you back on solid ground.
Dennis Potvin executing the one fundamental of a defenseman, playing the man all the way on Rick McLeish here as he plays him right over, almost over the boards, about halfway there. Good play, defensive play by Dennis Potvin.
The murmur of the crowd for one of the duties that a linesman has to undergo sometimes. John D'Amico had to go over and pick up a dead fish thrown out on the ice. Now, they don't pay these fellas enough to have to do that, I don't think, Ted.
Well, of course, you have to get on with the game. We used to have a squid in Olympia that used to be thrown on the ice, so somebody must be accumulating a lot of squids because they haven't been in the playoffs.
There's D'Amico's catch. I don't know exactly what that is, but
that come off the sound someplace.
We'd have to ask Kurt Gotti, our outdoors expert, to tell us what kind of a fish that was. I don't imagine it smells too good about now. Ralph Stewart shooting it into the Flyers zone, and Bernie Perron nearly lost his balance trying to keep the puck from coming in front. Bert Marshall, Dave Schultz colliding over there. Islanders keep it in, but Van Imp controls. Zaleski brings it out. Off the corner boards. Marshall off the boards for Harris. Harris for Stewart behind him. Zaleski trying to start Clement back. It's taken by Schultz. Dave Schultz over the blue line, trying to get around Dave Lewis. Schultz throws it in front. It goes by everybody. Flyers keep it in. Jimmy Watson down the boards to Zaleski. Out for Clement, too far. Down into Flyer territory. Van Imp is there as Gillies went after it. Van Imp to Schultz. Schultz met at center ice by Dave Lewis. Clement will try. He's bumped by Gillies. Schultz kicking it loose. Schultz breaks out. One man back. He's got Zaleski with him. Schultz shoots high off the glass. Rebound taken by Resch. Resch shoots it away from Zaleski around for Clark Gillies. Gillies catching up with it. Leaves it for Stewart. Stewart with Gillies trailing. Stewart trying to get around Harris. He does, right across the crease. Harris drops it back. Hart the shot. Tipped try and good enough blocked it. Hart a drive, score! Jerry Hart, a rising slap shot over the raised glove hand of Bernie Perron, and it's 2-1. The New York Islanders in front. By Ralph Stewart, Ted.
Making a good play around Harris. There's the first save by Perron. It'll come back off of this next play to Hart, and the shot seemed to handcuff. Here again, Stewart coming around the outside of Harris. Good save by Bernie as he cleared that puck. The puck goes back. Here's the second save. Then it'll go back out again to Hart. He gets the shot away, and it seemed to have Bernie handcuffed on that glove side.
Just too much pressure on Perron there as Harris alertly throws the puck back here. The left of your screen, Harris alertly threw it back quickly, enabling Hart to get a shot away. And then, with Perron trying to get set, Hart fired it up. As he got that puck from a Flyer, it's unassisted. Forechecking pressure off the good play by Ralph Stewart, set it up. Hart unassisted at 3:42. His second goal of the playoffs makes it 2-1 New York. Bobby Clark brings it into the Islander zone. Clark back to Goodenough. Goodenough, the shot blocked by Jerry Hart. Westfall can't get it out. Good play by Harris to keep it in. Goodenough to Leach. The shot blocked by Dennis Potvin. And it's rebounded all the way down into the Flyer zone. 15:44 remaining in the third period. Reggie Leach with the puck. Cross ice for Barber behind him. Westfall fires it in. The series stands 3-2. The champion Flyers leading the Cinderella Islanders. They knocked off the Rangers and the Penguins by winning 4 consecutive games in that series against Pittsburgh. The first time since 1942 it had been done. A steal by Drouin from Harris, and he stopped, and a good defensive play by Goodenough. Hart can't get started. Lewis flips it through Bobby Clark. It comes back to Lewis, but Drouin is caught offside. 15-11 remaining in the third period with the score of the New York Islanders 2, the Philadelphia Flyers 1.
He flies to faraway places, bringing last week's letters, yesterday's newspapers, and memories of home. Now comes Miller time. Time to head for the best tasting beer you can find. America's quality beer, Miller High Life.
If you've got the time, we've got the beer, Miller Beer. If you've got the time, we've got the beer, Miller Beer.
Look at that goal from behind the net again, from the shot from Jerry Hart. And Perron seems, that's the save. Then it's Stewart, number 16, got that puck back, and there's the shot, and it's Bernie was handcuffed as that puck went up over the glove hand, up into that top corner.
Back live at the Flyer blue line, Terry Crisp against Bob Bourne. Bourne playing between Gary Howitt, number 8, and Bob Nystrom, number 23. McLeish on the left wing with Lonsbury. Crisp at center. Crisp firing it around behind the Islander goal. Glenn Resch leaves it for Bert Marshall. Up to Gary Howitt. Howitt can't get past Joe Watson. Dave Lewis tries. He's checked. Lonsbury has the puck. Crisp scrambling to get onside, but he can't quite make it as Lonsbury brought it in.
Now looking at Al Arbor, he didn't argue on that call by John D'Amico on that one there as the Philadelphia went outside.
That's right. He's looking at his own blue line now.
Different team now. He probably said, thank you, John. That makes up for it.
Lauren Henning comes out at center to replace Bob Bourne, and the crowd chanting Chico, Chico. The Islander goaltender stopped 8 shots in the first period, or 9, pardon me, and 10 in the second period. Forechecking by Gary Howitt, putting some pressure on DuPont. DuPont for Lonsbury, met by Dave Lewis, but he poked it ahead. Crisp racing after it. Bert Marshall is there, and icing is called against the Philadelphia Flyers. Again, we see that pattern, Ted, of the Flyers now going for more of that longer breakout pass, and it's resulted in icing calls like we saw near the end of the first period.
Terry Crisp hustled after that puck. He wanted to touch it if he possibly could, so it would have been an offside call instead of the icing, which would have, instead of the face-off in the circle, would have bought it just a little bit inside the blue line. Jim, this is the 44th game of the playoffs, an NHL record. The previous record was 43 in 1971. And we have a potential of 8 more games after this.
In the Flyer zone, it's Jimmy Watson, full speed to the Islander line. Gets around Dennis Potvin. Ralph Stewart checking in there. Here's Clement in the slot. Kelly, a shot just wide. Rebound, Selesky. Don Selesky throws it across in front of the crease. Resch dives out of the loose puck. But Bob Kelly and Bill Clement trying to get their sticks on that puck.
Good play by Selesky. He held the puck well, but his teammates, Bob Kelly and Bill Clement, couldn't just get themselves into position.
Ralph Stewart will face it off with Bill Clement. Clement at center, number 10. Don Selesky, number 11 on the right wing. Bob Kelly, number 9 on the left side. Jimmy Watson and Ed Van Impe on defense. There's assistant trainer Jimmy Pickard handling the sticks over there behind the Islander bench. He and Ron Waske have been busy young men. We mentioned Frank Lewis, the Flyer trainer, earlier, and his assistant Jim McKenzie. These guys are just as much involved in the game as the players themselves. They tie it up in the corner to the right of Glenn Resch. They'll face it off again, and let's go down to ice side and Brian McFarland.
Here, Tim, King, have you ever seen a team fight back from adversity like the Islanders?
No, I haven't, and I have to congratulate the young fellas on the Islander team and on the other team, of course. And Brian, before I forget, on behalf of Mr. Ballard and myself, I'd like to congratulate George Armstrong and the Marlboroughs. They won the Memorial Cup this afternoon. Nice going, Chief.
That's the Junior Championship of Canada.
That's right, Brian.
Thanks for being with us, King. Back to the play.
All right, face-off to the right of the goaltender, Glenn Resch. Clark Gillies removing some tape from his stick, so they hold up for a moment. King Clancy, of course, remembers well 1942, and the Toronto Maple Leaf team came back to win 4 straight games and the Stanley Cup championship against Detroit. And The Islanders duplicating that feat, not for a title, but in a playoff series against Pittsburgh. Now trying to do it again against these champion Flyers. Here's Selesky, a backhander wide. Good chance for Selesky there, but he missed the net. And Hart takes Terry Crisp right into the mesh there behind the Islander goal. 13:36 to go in the third period. The score, the Islanders 2, the Flyers 1.
Of the new personal mid-size cars, one is getting a lot of recognition.
Hey, Charger!
Yesterday's Dodge Charger got recognition for winning 75 racing titles.
Hey, Charger!
Today's Charger is a mid-size car with a style that keeps it ahead of the crowd. And it's getting recognition.
Hey, Charger!
Maybe too much recognition?
Hey, Charger!
Next Sunday afternoon, we'll have more Stanley Cup playoff action, 3:30 Eastern Time, and it'll be final round championship action. We could be in Philadelphia should the Flyers win this series to go on and meet Buffalo. We could be in Buffalo if the Islanders win this series.
The replay of where the entanglement was Hart. Right here, you'll see Bob Kelly and Hart. Terry Crisp, Jerry Hart takes him into the net. There's the skates all tangled up, and there were a couple of holes put in there, which the linesman had repaired.
Help from a Nassau County Coliseum maintenance man. The linesman, if you are at the hockey games during or the warm-ups, you'll see the linesman come out and check those nets to make sure there are already no holes that may cause a disputed goal. Bobby Clark's pass over for Barber, and McMillan had to be sharp to break it up. Barber would have been clear. Leach trying to center, blocked by Bert Marshall, and the puck flips up over the glass. So they'll face it off again, and the Flyers up against it here. They trail by 1, 13:26 to go in the third period, and you sense that they're pressing a little more. Clark, Leach, and Barber, there's a lot of offense there.
Leach tried to pass that puck out to Clark out in the slot, but it hit Bert Marshall and went up over the glass. That's why the face-off is still to the right of Resch.
Somebody in the face-off circle. Art Skov, the referee, spotted it, blew the whistle promptly. Reggie Leach, a 45-goal man over the regular season, a former Flin Flon Jr. teammate of Bobby Clark's, Flin Flon, Manitoba. We heard King Clancy talk about the national championship in junior hockey won by the Toronto Marlboros this afternoon. There's a steal by Goodenough from Westfall, but he can't get the shot away as Marshall covers up beautifully. Westfall and Parise one-on-one against Harris. Westfall breaking. Parise a bouncing puck. The puck just bounced right up on him, and he couldn't complete the play. Barber back for the Flyers. Barber over the blue line offside. Clark came in behind him as Barber made the turn. Tough break for Parise there. That puck just must have hit a little something on the ice, and all of a sudden he lost control of it, Ted.
Going in at the Philadelphia with 13:01 to go, took a little bit of a chance getting 4 men caught. That's the bounce of the game, as they say, and he did miss a good opportunity.
McLeish against Lorne Henning. Henning now between Nystrom and Howitt. McLeish trying to break through there. He's still got the puck. Finally stopped. Here's Dornhofer, and Resch covers it as Dornhofer tried to poke it underneath him. And Jerry Hart taking Dornhofer into the end boards, and a frustrated Dornhofer giving Jerry a little up tap.
Very lucky for the Islanders. Dornhofer was in good position. He just couldn't get a good handle on it to get a good backhand shot at Resch.
Super effort by McLeish from the faceoff to muscle a puck into the scoring position. Westfall will come out to take the draw as Henning goes off, but you'll see him come right back on. Westfall will work every critical faceoff situation from now to the end of this hockey game. He's one of the best, and Al Arbor gives him a lot of extra ice time. Sometimes he has to stay on longer until the Islanders can control the puck. Right now they can't. Chance there for Lonsbury, just missed. Sharp angle shot right through the crease as Resch misplayed it and lost its goal stick on the play. It's fired down the ice by Howitt, who realized Resch was without a stick. But there's no icing on the play. Here's a poor checking effort by Nystrom, but Lonsbury was there for Philadelphia to pick up the loose puck. Watson comes on. Joe Watson still with it. Finally checked by Jerry Hart, and he flips it down into the Flyer zone. This time we'll get icing. And DuPont touches it. Icing is called against the New York Islanders. 12:17 to go in this third period. And now that clock becoming ever more important. We've had a game with a goal scored at 1:42 of the first period, and then nothing more until 16:15 of the second period, until Hart scored here early in the third. So with the pattern of the game, Ted, that 12:17 is not much time left.
Certainly since the goal by Hart, whether the Islanders are trying to protect it, but I think it's a little bit more pressure by Philadelphia. They recognize they got to tie this up. They don't want this to go to 7 games, and they have been keeping the Islanders bottled up.
Stewart against Crisp on the draw. Stewart controls it back for it. Resch pokes it away from Terry Crisp, helping his defenseman Dave Lewis. Lewis and Kelly battling for it. Crisp comes out with it. Can't get it to Selesky as Lewis intercepts. Dave Lewis. Make that to Billy Harris, pardon me. Lewis with the puck now. And his lead pass for Stewart is too far, and icing will be called against New York as it's taken by Ed Van Impe. 11:54 to go.
I think this is what you'll see, Tim. I think Fred Sherrill will change lines, maybe even a little bit faster than normal, having them all go out and 2 men on the puck, their normal style of play, but even taking extra chances.
When you look back at this series for the first game and a half, it was literally the men against the boys. The Flyers won the first game 4-0, were leading comfortably in the second game, then suddenly kind of fell back, and that gave the Islanders the confidence they needed, even though they lost that second game in overtime. Since then, they've been coming on. They lost a squeaker 1-0, then took the next 2 games. They lead here now as they try to tie it up at 3 games apiece. Marshall just now finding the puck with Selesky on his tail. Gets it to Gillies. Gillies good pass to Lewis. Lewis gives it to Stewart. Stewart for Harris, couldn't control it, and Perron covers up, as Harris would have had a breakaway there had he been able to control the puck. 11:28 remaining in the third period. The Islanders 2, the Flyers 1.
At races like the Daytona 500, Cale Yarborough proved that Valvoline Racing Oil can take the punishment in this kind of driving. In the mountains of New Mexico, Ron Lyman proves that Valvoline All Climate stands up to his kind of driving. Prove to yourself that Valvoline Motor Oil can take it in your kind of driving, too. Valvoline, for every kind of car, every kind of driving. Quality products of Ashland Oil, a growing worldwide company.
Jude Drouin will face off against Bobby Clark. To the left of Bernie Perron, Drouin, Parise, and Westfall, 17, 12, and 18 against Bobby Clark, number 16, Bill Barber, number 7, and Reggie Leach, number 27. Drouin gets that draw to McMillan. McMillan is on the right wing, not Westfall, as they give him a little rest here. This is the rookie defenseman good enough, showing some good speed. His pass to Bobby Clark, he couldn't hold it. Dennis Potvin, the pass to Parise in the corner, turned back by Barber. Dennis Potvin. Back for Parise, one of the playoff heroes. Flips it into the Flyer zone. Drouin there ahead of Bobby Clark. He has the puck. Jude Drouin to Hart, a drive, 6-8 Perron. Rebound off the side boards, taken by Clark. Clark flips it in. He was not over the red line, and when Hart touches it, icing is called against Philadelphia. Looks like Hart was trying to decide whether to make the pass to the right wing or just dump it in, and he released it on his own side of center ice, and that's the icing call.
In front of Bernie Perron here, Ted Harris going right over to J.P. Parise, making sure that he doesn't have that lumber on the ice as that puck come at Perron. Fading that slot right out.
Good save by Bernie Perron there, and good defensive work by Ted Harris to clear the crease for the rebound try. Flyers with it. DuPont to Lunsbury. Flyers in orange, the Islanders in white. Joe Watson gets around Gary Howard, still has the puck, throws it back to the blue line. DuPont trying to tee it up. Resch stopped that shot, headed wide. McLeish has it. McLeish for Dornhofer, and he banned on the shot. As a rolling puck, he couldn't get wood on it. He had a clear shot. It rolled right up and over the blade of his stick.
What we were talking about the last time he was on the ice, he couldn't get the backhand handle on it. He couldn't get the forehand handle on it. Good play there by McLeish. See, as he goes around the net here, Resch getting back into position very quickly. There's the pass, but it's a rolling puck. It went up over his stick. He was so frustrated right at that time. I think he would have liked to take a real good chunk of Glenn Resch, but he didn't do it.
From the draw, Westfall controlling back to the goaltender. Resch and Marshall takes over. Lewis to Westfall. Westfall to Nystrom. Nystrom in over the blue line on the off wing. His shot is wide. It hits the back of the net on the rebound. Lonsbury rink wide, intended for Dornhofer, off the skate of Lewis. Joe Watson pokes it ahead, and Bert Marshall takes over. Marshall having difficulty, has to go to Howitt with it deep in the Islander zone. 10 minutes remaining in the third period. Nystrom met inside his own zone by DuPont, broke his stick on the play. Nystrom did. The pass for Henning by Howitt just failed to click. Dave Lewis waiting for Henning to get onside, was checked by Dornhofer. Bert Marshall, number 6, as the Flyers change on the move. Nystrom ahead for Henning, behind him. A bad pass by Nystrom. This will be an icing call against the New York Islanders. 9:34 to go, third period. Ross Lonsbury from Joe Watson at 1:42 of the first. Dennis Potvin, power play goal from Drouin at 16:15 of the second. And then the go-ahead goal, Jerry Hart, unassisted, pressured by the Islanders in the Flyers zone after a good play by Ralph Stewart. Hart's unassisted goal at 3:42 of the third period, as the Flyers, feeling the pressure, tried to clear the puck out. The puck was handed right to Hart. He fired a rising slap shot over the glove hand of Perron. It stands 2-1. Potvin intended for McMillan. Van Imp keeps it in. Knocked down, and Potvin lugs it out. Dennis Potvin, right side to Harris. Harris, the left-handed shot playing on the right side, is stopped by Jimmy Watson, and Crisp comes back. Kelly with him, 2-on-2. Hart and Ralph Stewart back. Crisp, a backhander, glove save by Resch. The shot was going wide. Here, Crisp and Jerry Hart pushing and shoving in there. Hart and Terry Crisp, who went to the inboards together after Crisp's shot. The linesman in there trying to break it up. They really didn't get any punches thrown. I think, again, the frustration by Terry Crisp, but more than anything, and Hart just trying to hold on to prevent getting into a scrap with him. And I don't believe Art Sco's going to call any penalties, and that's excellent judgment on his part, because tempers were not really very high there at all. Jerry Hart, a fire plug of a defenseman, and smiling there at a remark from his teammates. He's got the go-ahead goal in this game. Young Bobby Bourne watched patiently through most of the Pittsburgh series. Jim Civies getting his chance to play here 2 games ago, and he's done well. One of the many fine young prospects. Here's Ralph Stewart. He can skate, good enough to beat. Stewart throws it in front. McMillan can't get there. He was well covered by Selesky. McMillan steers it to Dave Lewis. He dumps to the far corner. Ted Harris to Bill Clement. Clement to Selesky. Selesky cuts inside McMillan. Selesky shoots at a bouncing puck, and Resch handled a deflected shot with a glove stop. We've got 8:44 to play in this third period. And the New York Islanders lead the Philadelphia Flyers by a score of 2-1.
It is said there is still a good 10-cent cigar left in the world whose name is Muriel. You have such a cigar, huh?
Yes, sir. Muriel Pinatellas, Senators, Cornella Kings, they're really good 10-cent cigars.
Ramba! Only 10 cents. How does Muriel do it, huh? East of the poor of Muriel down. East of the poor of Muriel down.
Jim, Philadelphia are keeping a little bit more of the pressure on now. It's certainly not because of the Islanders being tired. I think they're just trying to protect that 1-goal lead, not make mistakes.
A little more cautious play. Parise trying to break away from Reggie Leach. I think we said last week about the Islander team. They play the same 60 minutes, whether they're up 2-1 or down 8-1. Resch trying to clear it, handed it right to Barber, but he couldn't make the play back to Joe Watson. Drouin brings it out. Drouin, a Westfall inside the Flyer line. Pass intended for the trailing winger Parise, but he was nowhere near it. Bobby Clark trying to get started. Parise cuts to the off wing, bumps him off the puck. Picked up by Leach. He can shoot it, and Hart blocks him with a perfectly timed ball. And that was good help for the goalie Resch, because if you give that Leach a chance to shoot it, man, he can whistle it.
That's the importance of a defenseman, to make sure he blocks that puck. If that puck had gotten by Hart, it would have come out of nowhere, and Resch would have just been able to guess at it, and the speed that it was moving wouldn't give him much of a chance. Here he is, as Leach really leans into it. Good play, perfectly timed by Hart.
That's what his coach Al Arbor used to do so well in his major league days. Trainer Ron Waske showing his concern behind that Islander bench. Dave Lewis setting up as the Islanders control that dangerous faceoff right in front of their own net. The pass to Henning, he couldn't hold it. It's over the line. Van Imp beating Dornhofer. Henning checking him. We've got Henning between Gary Howard and Bob Nystrom now against the unit of McLeish, Dornhofer, and Lonsbury.
Sure, when they talk about the Philadelphia club and all their tough guys, strong guys, you don't hear too much about Lonsbury, but he plays the game, and he's an exceptionally strong guy. Watched him here today. He's throwing a couple of good body checks, and he's handling a couple of men real good around front of that net.
He has the only goal for Philadelphia. 7:43 remaining, and Howard nearly took it away from Bernie Perron. Jim Watson gets control. Watson checked by Howard. More checking by New York here now. Nystrom in there. Nystrom digging it out. Lonsbury on him, and there's a sign of that strength Ted Lindsay was talking about. Nystrom is one of the real strong men in the league. Lonsbury leaning on it. Dornhofer takes a bump from Howard, and the puck's knocked in offside by Dave Lewis. 7:19 remaining in the third period. Remember, next week on NBC, on Saturday, we'll have baseball for you. Cincinnati and Montreal. Joe Garagiola and Tony Kubek will bring you that one. Jim Simpson and Maury Wills will be in Minnesota, where the Brewers will take on the Twins. Consult your local listings for the game to be televised in your area. Coverage begins with a pregame show at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Major League Baseball here on NBC. McLeish gets the draw back to Andre Dupont. Dupont dumps it in. Dornhofer racing after it. Resch out of there, pokes it away from him. Gary Howard trying to start Henning out of there. The pass high off the stick. Nystrom racing after it. Larry Goodenough, who shows he's got good speed back there on defense for the Flyers. Replacing Tom Blayton in the lineup today. McLeish turned back by Dennis Potvin. McLeish backhands it in right to Nystrom of New York. Nystrom trying to break away down the right side, and Dornhofer had a pretty good grip on him. No call on it there. And here's a steal by Howard, who's knocked down with a good shoulder check by Goodenough. McLeish circling in front of his own net. Up the left side to Don Selesky. Selesky cuts to right wing. Watched by Hart. Hart puts his head right in his shoulders, and the puck taken by Gary Howard. Dennis Potvin drops it back, and Chris lost his balance. He had the puck handed to him. As Potvin, Howard got their signals crossed. Hart trying to come up with a loose puck. A pile up there right beside Glenn Resch. They hold on. 6:16 to go in this third period. Jerry Hart has been a busy, hard-working man out there today, and he has played a whale of a game. One error nearly cost a goal, but Lauren Henning covered up for him. Otherwise, Hart has been perhaps their best player, especially when you consider he has the go-ahead goal.
Both goals for the Islanders in this 2-1 lead have been scored by their defensemen, Potvin and Hart.
Ralph Stewart, number 16. And Billy McMillan, number 11. And Bill Harris, number 15. McMillan seeing a little more duty here in these closing minutes. He is a good defensive forward with a lot of experience. Played for the Canadian national team, was originally Toronto Maple Leaf property. He's been around. Dave Schultz for Crisp. He's got the shot. He waited too long, and he gave Marshall time to block it. Stewart breaks out. He's got Harris ahead of him. McMillan breaking with him. Here's McMillan. Backhand shot. Big save, Bernie Perron. Sliding lave save. Stewart on the rebound. Gets it to McMillan. McMillan turning in the corner. Off the backboards. It never got to Stewart. McMillan checking in there with Dupont and Crisp, and they get a face-off in the Flyers zone.
Those are the chances that the Flyers have to take right now, and it's Perron with that save on the backhand that kept his club close. Here the Islanders breaking out. You'll see the pass going across ice. A good save by Perron on the backhand as he kicks that puck into the corner on McMillan.
5:48 remaining in regulation time. Face-off to the left of Bernie Perron. This is game 6. Somebody in the face-off circle. The champion Flyers leading the series 3 games to 2. Hart Scholes, the referee, cautioning Bill Barber to stay onside and out of the face-off circle. Clark, Barber, Leach against Drouin, Westfall, Parise. Forechecking by Parise against Joe Watson, forcing Bobby Clark to make the turn. Clark to Reggie Leach. Return pass. Picked off by Drouin. Lost it to Joe Watson. He feeds Clark at center ice. Reggie Leach at the blue line. Leach the shot. Stick save by Resch. Westfall. Out for Drouin. This line can really pass the puck well, but Drouin had that one stolen away by Reggie Leach. Joe Watson to Bobby Clark. The Flyers captain, stick handling, trying to break through. Hart gets a piece of it. Clark stays right with the play. And Hart manages to get it frozen against those side boards. They'll face it off in the Islanders zone. 5:06 remaining in the third period. Islanders 2, Philadelphia Flyers 1.
Hi, I'm Connie Stevens. Your helpful Ace Hardware man's got just about everything you need at prices you want to pay. So, come on in.
If you need an electric jigsaw or a power drill, Ace is the place. This week's featured items are a Black & Decker 2-speed 3/8-inch electric drill and a Black & Decker 2-speed electric jigsaw at participating Ace hardware stores.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware man.
There's the time remaining. We're in the third period at the Nassau County Coliseum. Tim Ryan, Ted Lindsay, Brian McFarland, and Howie Meeker bringing you Stanley Cup action, and we'll have more next week at 3:30 Eastern Time from the final championship series. Gary Howitt to Nystrom. Nystrom over the center line, a long slap shot, glove save by Bernie Perron. Drops to the corner. Dupont, Howitt, and Nystrom all there. McLeish takes it back of his own net. Now cuts the other way. McLeish, Lonsberry, and Dornhofer stolen by Nystrom. Here's Henning, can't get the shot away. Dornhofer starts Lonsberry out. Ross Lonsberry. Dornhofer trailing. Marshall back. Lonsberry can't make the play. Marshall kicks it ahead for Nystrom. Nystrom with Henning. Works his way to the off-wing side. Back in the middle of Howitt. Howitt can't get the shot off as Dupont was standing right in front of him. Marshall keeps it in. Marshall the shot. That's wide. Off the boards, Lewis and Dornhofer arrive at the same time. Dornhofer gets help from Lonsberry. 4:12 to go, third period. Marshall throws it right back into the Philadelphia zone. Islanders in control here, but there's lots of time left. McLeish to Dornhofer. Dornhofer back to McLeish. The ever dangerous Rick McLeish, but he lost it there to Marshall, who's been superlative again tonight. Dennis Potvin dropped his stick, but there's nobody around him, and Jerry Hart goes for it, a whistle on the play. Whether that was an offside call against the Flyers or not, must have been.
Rick McLeish, on that good opportunity the last time, lost that puck going to the bench. Not too happy with it. Tim, in this series with the Islanders, Philadelphia, each team now has scored 15 goals, so that shows you how close it is.
They are 3:49 away from sending it back to Philadelphia Spectrum on Tuesday night. Game 7. Who would have believed it? The Cinderella Islanders, who have certainly added the bulk of the excitement of this NHL season at playoff time. The champion Flyers with the most wins over the regular season, same number of points as Buffalo and Montreal, 113, a remarkable season. Very consistent after their championship last year, the big upset of the Boston Bruins. And the Islanders trying to pull off another miracle. It does not seem possible, but it is now 3:20 away from a 7th game in Philadelphia. Bobby Clark, pass for Jimmy Watson, too far ahead of him. Dennis Potvin with it, steps inside Clark. Van Imp to Clark, can't quite get to it. An offside pass is charged against the Flyers anyway. The Flyers will be happy to have that home ice advantage if they do not win here today. At least they'll know that the game for all the marbles will be played on home ice. On Thursday night, the Islanders went in there and won 5-1, the biggest margin of any game in the series. Hockey people around the National Hockey League are just incredulous at the turn of events in this series as they were in the Ranger and Pittsburgh series. Nobody believes the Islanders should be where they are, but they are down to the final 3 teams. Terry Crisp. Good enough. Over the line. Long shot in off the backboards. Billy Harris. Harris lost it to Crisp. Here's a chance for Lounsbury, and a save by Resch. Off the backboards. Crisp keeps it free. It goes to Ralph Stewart. He clips it out for Billy Harris. It jumps over his stick. Jimmy Watson catching up with it. Throws it up the boards for McLeish. McLeish a back pass. Stewart gets it with help from Marshall, and he shoots it in. 2:35 remaining in regulation time. 2-1 the score. The Islanders lead it by a goal. Rick McLeish, checked by Bill McMillan. In front of the Islander bench, it's taken by Jimmy Watson. Watson stick handle. 4 Flyers inside, one of them offside. Ross Lounsbury. There'll be a face-off at the New York blue line with 2:18 remaining.
It'll be interesting now, Tim, to just see how early that Coach Shiro will pull Bernie Perron unless his team can even it up before they have to go to that strategy. He's changing his lines quite quick. I would imagine he would like to have Clark and Leach and Barber and McLeish as fresh as they possibly can for that last minute and a half, if they possibly can work it out that way.
Well, he's got them on now. We'll watch to see if he short shifts them in order to get them into that final minute. Al Arbor, who has the last change here on home ice, counters with Drouin, Parise, and Westphal. So you've got the 2 top lines against each other. Dennis Potvin, Jerry Hart on the Islanders' defense. Andre Dupont and Joe Watson for the Flyers. Clark is chased. Barber takes a draw. Drouin wins it. Hart to Dennis Potvin. Potvin to Westphal. Westphal with Drouin. Long shot by Westphal. Caught by Bernie Perron. Joe Watson with the puck, number 14. In front of his own net, the pass for Bobby Clark off the boards. Dupont breaking in. Potvin goes with him. Hart goes for the puck. 2 Flyers on him. Hart missed the puck, lost his balance. And it was held long enough, according to referee Art Skov, for a face-off. Bill Barber a little annoyed at the fast whistle.
Dupont, when Clark just put that puck in, I don't think Bobby got it in as far or as fast as he wanted to, because Dupont was on the move, and they wanted Moose to possibly get in there, get possession of it, to see if they could work a play out.
Face-off to the right of Glenn Resch. 1:54 remaining. Larry Goodenough comes on for Joe Watson. Goodenough who can shoot that puck and handles it well, and Fred Sherrill showing the confidence in the rookie. Spent most of the season in the minor leagues. Up and down a few times, but has not played as a regular. Battle for that face-off. These are all important now. Potvin can't get it out. Dupont a shot, a high bouncing puck that he was only able to get wide. Flyers scrambling here to try and keep it in again. Drouin, Clark get the pushing and shoving going a little bit, and the linesman in there quickly. There has been no real serious altercation in this game. It's been a cleanly played game overall, and the linesman getting in there quickly to prevent turning a good, tough, close playoff game into something less than that by separating the combatants quickly. But a lot of frustration and tension here in a 2-1 hockey game. 1:39 remaining. Face off to the right of Glenn Resch. It'll be near the top of the circle. The Clark line stays on, and it'll be the Drouin line staying on with him. But Marshall has replaced Hart. Dennis Potvin stays on.
This kind of a delay certainly plays into the hands of Fred Sherrill, because it gives his line of Clark, Leach, and an opportunity in McLeish to get a little bit of a breather. Of course, the same thing can be said for Westphal, Drouin, and Parise defensively.
Westphal over at the timers bench checking timing with referee Art Skov and the timekeeper. I guess they want to prevent a recurrence of what happened here Wednesday night when the Flyers scored what would have been the winning goal 2 seconds after the game had finished. And so it forced the overtime. Marshall comes up with a bouncing puck. The ice is a little softer now with the temperatures here very balmy in the New York area. And with the crowd here and the play today, you can see the puck bouncing a lot more as the game has gone along. Dupont, slap shot, skate save by Glenn Resch. Saw that one all the way. The goaltender is out. They get a face-off inside the Islander zone. Let's see whether Bernie Perron goes back in or not. 1:13 to go. Zaleski came on as Perron went to the Flyers bench. Faceoff will again be almost the same spot inside the circle, but near the top. Bernie Perron over at the Flyers bench. Now Zaleski and Drouin going at each other.
There's that shot by Dupont and that left stick and left leg save as he kicked it over into the corner where the face-off will be held just to the edge of the circle towards the blue line.
Zaleski jawing with Drouin and now J.P. Parise, and anybody that Zaleski could get out of that three to go off the ice with him in a penalty situation would be certainly a very good trade. And I'm sure that Al Arbour is telling all of his players to stay calm out there. Don't be provoked into a penalty here. Whether that's Zaleski's intention or not, we can't say. But I was wondering why Fred Sherrill had Zaleski out there in this critical situation. He can shoot the puck, mind you, but I would think he has a couple of other players that he would put out there in a situation like this, Ted.
Bob Nystrom come off the Islanders bench as what you were mentioning, Tim, as though maybe Don Zaleski was going to get into a little bit of aggressiveness, you might say. And Nystrom, there he is, giving him the word as he goes to the bench. This is normal for the players. Al's trying to get his players settled down.
Fred Sherrill got Lunsbury back out there to replace Zaleski, and that's really more like it. He can score. All right, 6 attackers. The net is empty. 1:12 to go. They get the draw. Barber, the shot, saved by Resch, who just saw it at the last instant, and he covers the rebound. That was a big save. He was screened, and he did not see it until the last instant. 1:07 remaining. 6 attackers on the ice.
That came pretty close to overtime right there. There it is as he got it with the left hand and quickly covered up. There's the play again from Barber. Barber, Bill, who can shoot that puck, put it right on the corner. It was a good save and a good shot.
A delay here as Al Arbour had them open his team's bench. He wanted his men lined up in a certain way, and they weren't lined up that way, so he opened the bench to get a whistle. Smart play by the home team coach. Parise is going off. Westfall is on with McMillan, Marshall. Parise is going to stay on.
With Philadelphia with the extra man, what the Philadelphia team will try to do is to block the Islander players out, leaving their extra man free so they can maneuver.
6 attackers.
One play that the Islanders will try to do is keep their man free.
Westfall got the draw. Clark racing after it. It comes in front. Here's Barber with it. Good enough. The drive, that's wide. The rebound, McMillan after it. McMillan gets it off the board. Westfall with the net empty. Westfall being checked. Throws it over to Parise off the board. Parise trying to stick handle through, good enough. And he's checked by McLeish, who takes the puck. They never got a shot at the empty net. McLeish checked by Westfall. 42 seconds left. Here's Lunsbury. 6 Philadelphia attackers. Lunsbury checked by Parise, and Marshall clears it to center ice. 34 seconds left. Good enough. To McLeish, and he hits McMillan with his pass. Good enough with it. 28 seconds left. Good enough to McLeish. Over the line. The shot caught by Resch. Resch keeps the puck going. To Potvin. To Parise. Parise over the blue line. Lunsbury knocks it down. 16 seconds left. Over to Barber. Checked by Potvin. Cleared to center. Offside call against the Philadelphia Flyers with 13 seconds remaining.
Good call by John D'Amico there. And Bill Barber was just about a half a stride over. Just enough. But he was right on it and called it.
Face-off will be in the center face-off circle in Islanders territory. Clark, McLeish, Lunsbury, Leach, good enough. Barber, the team out there trying to get this tying goal. Barber annoyed at the delaying tactics here by the Islanders, saying, let's go, Raph, drop the puck. Westfall against Clark. Clark gets it. Barber has it. Checked by Westfall, goes on by. Stopped by Marshall. 6 seconds left. Clark gets it loose. Leach backhands it in. Resch catches it. The game is over. The New York Islanders, the incredible Cinderella New York Islanders, have forced a 7th and deciding game in the semifinal series at the Spectrum in Philadelphia on Tuesday night by defeating the world champion Philadelphia Flyers 2-1 here this afternoon at the Nassau County Coliseum. Another remarkable performance a come-from-behind performance. The Flyers scored first. Lonsbury at 1:42 in the first period. Dennis Potvin tied it up on a power play in the second. And unheralded Jerry Hart scored unassisted at 3:42 in the third. And the Islanders made it stand up for a 2-1.